Chapter 1362. Alright, I'll definitely visit Yuan Dao Celestial when I have time, said Night Sorrow. Alright, bring the Dark Dominator along. I'll be the host. Yuan Dao Heavenly Monarch nodded. Yuan Dao Celestial had not interacted with the outside world for many years. Now that they had taken out a map of their sect and given it to Night Sorrow, it was a sign of goodwill. Brother Yuan Dao Celestial can also come out and develop. This reincarnation city is everyone's reincarnation city, said Qing Emperor. Alright, I'll think about it. Yuan Dao Heavenly Monarch nodded. Recently, the world of reincarnation has been in turmoil. I can't say who's right and who's wrong, but there are still some things that need to be dealt with. Heaven Seizing Island, Burning Sky Towers area in Reincarnation City, and Thunder Fire's property, I'll take them out and distribute them. Qing Emperor's dynasty won't take any more, but our allies in the empty areas should have some. Yuan Dao Celestial didn't have a share in the past, so it's only right that they have a share, said Qing Emperor. Then I'll thank Brother Qing. Yuan Dao Heavenly Monarch laughed. Night Sorrow, you're also someone with your own world. Don't you want some territory to develop? Our Black Fiend Valley can give you some. Li Tianba looked at Night Sorrow and said. There's no need for that, but there's a suitable place. I'm planning to buy a tea house. When the time comes, we can all have tea together. It'll be free of charge. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Latest chapter, section, part 1 inch. That's a good idea. Our Sima residence has a tea house near the teleportation formation. The location is pretty good. I'll give it to you. Sima Tiancheng said. Really? Then it would be impolite for me to refuse. Night Sorrow cupped his hands at Sima Tiancheng. A tea house was nothing to a top force, but Sima Tiancheng's offer was a sign of goodwill. It wouldn't be appropriate to reject it. It was tantamount to keeping people 1,000 miles away. During the banquet, everyone had a good chat. They also discussed the new share of the Samsara city for all forces. Everyone was happy. The time of the Samsara palace was also redistributed. Since the Qing Emperor's dynasty had the most magnates, he had the most share. After drinking, Night Sorrow and Datura returned to Datura's courtyard. Night Sorrow, everyone is happy now. That heavenly monarch of Thunder Fire and Ling Tian should be more well-behaved because they no longer have the capital to jump. Datura said. Night Sorrow nodded. Now, the heavenly lord of Thunder Fire should be afraid. He was afraid that the Qing Emperor and the Dynasty Alliance would give him a ruthless blow. If that happened, his Thunder Cliff would be destroyed. Night Sorrow reckoned that the heavenly lord of Thunder Fire would not dare to stay in the Thunder Cliff. As for Ling Tian, his previous trump card was very powerful, but he didn't dare to challenge the Samsara City Lord. The Samsara City Lord controlled the City Lord seal, which was a treasure with the original will and original energy. Night Sorrow and Datura chatted. Both of them were very relaxed now. Night Sorrow, I know about your relationship with Shueshi. You can't continue like this. Datura started to talk about family matters. This is my fault. It has been like this for many years. I feel guilty. She didn't want to marry me in the past. That time, I proposed to her and she agreed. Later on, because our engagement was approaching, she said we would talk about it later. In the end, she kept postponing it. Night Sorrow was a little guilty. Then find a time to hold the wedding. Actually, you should marry us together, Datura said. I've thought about it and asked her. If she thinks it's okay, I'll tell you and let you suffer a little. Then we'll do it together. I believe you'll understand. But she doesn't think it's appropriate, so we keep delaying it, Yishan said. Let me handle this. I know you are tired. I will take care of the family matters, Datura said. Night Sorrow nodded at Datura. Datura's understanding made Night Sorrow feel relieved. But your original body is in seclusion again, Datura said. It doesn't matter. We have been together for many years. To put it bluntly, we are already an old couple. It's just that we don't have a title, Night Sorrow said. Hee, you are really something. You have harmed her for so many years, but you didn't marry her. Datura rolled his eyes at Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was speechless. He didn't want to harm anyone. While the two were drinking tea, Sima Tianqing sent someone to deliver a restaurant's deed and land deed. He gave the best location of the Sima mansion to Night Sorrow. Let's go and see our family's property. Night Sorrow nodded at Datura. Then, under the guidance of the Sima mansion's entourage, Night Sorrow and Datura went to a restaurant not far from the transmission array square. It was very imposing. It had 4 floors and occupied a lot of ground. It was surrounded by attics and in the middle was a water pavilion. There were also some small tables. The style was very good. Sir, this is a complete set. Behind the restaurant is a mansion. The scenery is also good. The Sima mansion's entourage said to Night Sorrow. After looking around, Night Sorrow liked it very much. He felt that it was inappropriate to take advantage of the Sima mansion, so he took out 2 soft jade tendon pills. Bring this back to your Sima mansion's master. Tell him that Night Sorrow thanks him for his generosity. Night Sorrow took out a storage ring and made an imprint, then said to the Sima mansion's entourage. The Sima mansion's entourage left with the people who were originally in the restaurant. Datura left for a while and brought some people over. They were the people who managed the Dark Abyss property. Night Sorrow then looked at the mansion. The layout of the mansion was very good and the level was high. The furnishings and decorations also cost a lot. This was enough to see that Sima Tianqing was very sincere. Yi Shang's return gift was also very heavy. The nephrite tendons and bones was an extraordinary medicinal pill that could not be exchanged for several tea houses and mansions like this. It was a miraculous item that could increase one's strength. Night Sorrow didn't want to owe anyone a favor. In addition, he felt that Sima Tianqing was very good. The other party wanted to make friends with him, so he should give him a gift. Night Sorrow didn't have any thoughts of doing business, but he felt that it was good to have a foothold. This place was safe because Reincarnation City was under the control of the Qing Emperor. No one could mess around here. Datura also called 2 maids to clean the mansion. At this time, in another courtyard in Reincarnation City, the Sima mansion's servant handed Night Sorrow's storage ring to Sima Tianqing. Sima Tianqing casually opened the storage ring. Feeling that it was Sima mansion's master, the soul imprint that Night Sorrow left behind disappeared. Night Sorrow left a soul imprint on the storage ring mainly because he didn't want this pill to be stolen. There were only 2 jade bottles in the storage ring. After opening them and studying them, Sima Tianqing's face changed. Did Night Sorrow say anything else? He just asked me to bring this back and tell Mansion Master that he is grateful for the generosity. He didn't say anything else. The Sima mansion's servant said. Lu Xiang, how should we deal with this? Sima Tianqing looked at his wife. The 10th chapter arrived. Chapter 1363. What do you mean? What kind of pill is it? Lord of Precious Fragrance asked. It's a soft jade muscle pill that can strengthen the dantian and meridians. It can fundamentally change a cultivator's potential. Sima Tianqing said. Are you sure it's a soft jade muscle pill? Lord of Precious Fragrance looked at her husband and asked. You don't know much about pills, but your husband is a heavenly master alchemist. I've never refined or seen a soft jade muscle pill, but I've read about it in the ancient books. I know the shape, color, and medicinal properties. This can't be wrong. Sima Tianqing said. How generous. How did this guy do this? Lord of Precious Fragrance was a little puzzled because the soft jade muscle pill was extremely valuable. Principle. This is his principle. He doesn't take advantage of others, and he doesn't owe others. But this way, we will owe him. Sima Tianqing said. It's not appropriate to return it. It shows that we don't have the sincerity to be friends with him. Lord of Precious Fragrance said. It's said that people with a virtuous body are imperceptibly close to the heavenly Tao. The facts have proven that this is the case. This guy is generous to us, but at the same time, he has an invisible knife that we have to accept. If something happens to him in the future, we can't just stand by and watch. Sima Tianqing said with a bitter smile. Okay, we also got a bargain. We can't exchange the soft jade muscle pill with resources. Lord of Precious Fragrance poured a cup of tea for her husband and said. Sima Tianqing nodded. Although the soft jade muscle pill was a little hot, he had to accept it. Night Sorrow and Datura strolled in the night of Samsara City. Datura held Night Sorrow's arm. She didn't look like a giant at all. She was a gentle and peerless beauty. The two walked on the street like ordinary people. It was raining. Night Sorrow planned to buy 2 umbrellas. But Datura only allowed him to buy 1. Night Sorrow smiled and bought 1. If they wanted to, they didn't need an umbrella at all. Not to mention the rain, even a knife couldn't get close. Back then, when I first came to the human world, I saw a couple who looked like this. I was very envious. Datura looked at Night Sorrow and said. In the future, as long as you want, I will accompany you. Just like today, strolling in the rain. Night Sorrow nodded and said. Don't favor one and discriminate against the other. There are still a few at home, Datura said with a smile. The latest LP coming soon, I will. I know it's not easy for them. I've neglected them a little, but that's not my intention. If I work harder now, I can give them a more stable sky, Night Sorrow said. The girls and I understand you, so you don't have to bear any pressure. Datura tightened her grip on Night Sorrow's arm. Night Sorrow was glad that his wife understood him. What a husband and wife needed was this kind of understanding and support. What kind of elixir did you give Sima Tianqing in return? Datura thought of today's matter. 2 soft jade tendon pills, Night Sorrow said. Your return gift is too expensive. Datura was a little surprised. We can't owe them anything. Besides, politeness demands reciprocity. That couple is a good person. They're the kind of people who keep to their word. They're worth befriending, said Yishang. But they will feel that they owe you. Datura said with a smile. That's their business, not mine. Night Sorrow laughed because this feeling was very good. Datura also laughed. Night Sorrow's atmosphere did bring pressure to Sima Tianqing. The two strolled around and returned to the mansion behind the restaurant to rest. After resting for a while, Night Sorrow ran back to Chia City and found Chen. Brother, I found a good place to open a tea house. Now, please be the boss. Night Sorrow shouted as soon as he entered the tea house. A good place in your eyes must be very good. Take me there. Chen said. His dream was to be a successful businessman. Then Night Sorrow took Chen to Samsara City and went to his own tea house. It's great that there is such a place in such a big city. It's good to open a tea house here. It's boring if you don't open a restaurant. Chen said excitedly. Well, from today onwards, you are the boss here. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Okay, the place is yours. I'll run it. You take 70% of the income and I take 30%. Chen began to calculate directly. Brother, you don't need it. You know I don't need it. Night Sorrow said. You don't care about your big business, but I care. I'll work hard and make some pocket money for my nephew and niece. In fact, when you do business to a certain level, making money is secondary. It's just a hobby and I like the process. Chen said with a smile. The tea house was handed over to Chen and Night Sorrow did not care about it. Night Sorrow returned to the Nine Chong building and found Jun Xuanji. He asked Jun Xuanji to pay attention to the movements of the Celestial Sect and the Thunder Cliff. Then Night Sorrow and Datura returned to the city in the sky. There was nothing to do in Samsara city. When the banquet was held in the city lord's mansion that day, some things in Samsara city were distributed. The cultivation time of the Samsara palace was also adjusted. Everyone was happy. So Night Sorrow had nothing to worry about. After returning to the city in the sky, Night Sorrow told his parents that he would hold a make-up wedding for Xuexi. Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing were naturally happy. After setting a date, they began to arrange it. However, Xuexi didn't want to make it a big deal. Her family could just hold a banquet and have a meal. Night Sorrow respected Xuexi's opinion. Xuexi was not a high-profile person. The situation was stable. Night Sorrow rested and accompanied his family. As for the search for the missing part of the pagoda of time and space, Night Sorrow thought it could wait. In addition, Night Sorrow took out the golden man he had obtained in the Heaven and Earth Pavilion and gave it to Sikong Chuyu to refine. Aoi had the small space world and the ability to protect herself. Yang Lei was straightforward. She did not study alchemy, refining weapons, or formations. However, Sikong Chuyu studied formations. Night Sorrow asked Sikong Chuyu to refine it. To Night Sorrow, a monarch-rank golden man bodyguard was not significant. Peaceful days were very comfortable. Night Sorrow spent every day with his family and studied formations. His true body cultivated diligently, while Night Sorrow's clone cultivated some skillful things. 3 years passed quickly. On Night Sorrow's day, Jun Xuanji came when he was drawing the formation diagram. What's the matter? Night Sorrow looked up at Jun Xuanji. Yes, it's a mess. I don't know when the Thunder Fire Heaven Lord and the people from the Shenwu Great World came. They have declared war on us. Moreover, the people from the Shenwu Great World have already set up camp at the Thunder Cliff. Things are out of control, Jun Xuanji said. It's only a matter of time. Conflicts will erupt. The root of the problem is not solved yet, Night Sorrow said. Since they are here, let's fight. Make us look bad. Let's see who will look worse in the end, Datura walked over and said. Chapter 1364. Unsealed. Cool net, authentic. Declaring war is contempt. We won't accept such contempt. No one can look down on us, Night Sorrow said. That's right. No one can. Datura nodded. Then let's go back. I've only been able to live a peaceful life for 3 years. How troublesome. Yishang stretched and then went to tell his parents and wife that he had something to do. Then, he and Mandela took the teleportation formation to the 9 stories building and then took the teleportation formation to Samsara city. Night Sorrow and Datura went straight to the city lord's mansion. There were many people in the city lord's mansion, including the leaders who attended the banquet last time. Everyone nodded when they saw Night Sorrow and Datura. Qing Emperor then told them about the current situation. This time, it wasn't just the War Tiger dynasty. The Shenwu Great World's Martial Sacred Palace and several other top forces also took action. The War Tiger dynasty was the #1 force in the Shenwu Great World. Its actions could affect the decisions of other forces. If they followed a path, they might be able to get some benefits. If they didn't, they would be viewed as enemies. This was the way of the world. For benefits and self-protection, one had to go with the flow. Of course, the personality of the leader of the force was also the main factor. Thunder Fire Heaven Lord, this traitor, is too hateful. Red Emperor said. I didn't expect this. Now that Thunder Fire has done this, Thunder Cliff will become a stronghold for the Shenwu Great World to attack us. We haven't even started the battle and they've already invaded. Sima Tianqing said. I'm sorry. Actually, this was caused by me and the Qing Emperor's dynasty. Qing Emperor cupped his hands to everyone. What's going on? Li Tianba asked. Qing Emperor then told them what happened before Night Sorrow's wedding. If they go too far, we can't tolerate it. Qing Emperor, if you tolerate it, we will all feel ashamed, Red Emperor said. We strive, we work hard, and we want to achieve great things. Why? He did it for the sake of his reputation and for the sake of his family members. What was the fierce tiger celestial lord? Let's fight then. Sima Tianqing said. Thank you for your understanding. Let's make some arrangements first. We can't afford to be disrupted, Qing Emperor said. Haha. We have a master tactician here. Knight Sorrow, what do you think? Red Emperor asked Knight Sorrow with a smile. I'll just listen. When you need me to fight, I'll fight, Knight Sorrow said. Don't be humble. This is a huge matter. Everyone in the world of reincarnation is responsible for it. Lord of Precious Fragrance said. Yes, Knight Sorrow, tell us about it. Qing Emperor nodded. He believed in Knight Sorrow's talent. I admire your tactics. Li Tianba supported Knight Sorrow. Then I'll tell you. Then let me tell you. First of all, we need to know that this war won't end in a short period of time. Therefore, we need to be prepared for a long war. Another thing is about internal harmony and unity. Thunder Fire Lord has ruled Samsara City for a long time and has a great influence. Our internal harmony is very important. We can't have a traitor, Yishan said. That makes sense. Continue. Qing Emperor nodded. I'm not targeting anyone. Will Sky Sect be on the same side as Thunderfire Heaven Lord? Will they attack us? We need to figure it out. Otherwise, we will be attacked from both sides, Knight Sorrow said. It's hard to say. We need to be on guard, Sima Tianqing said. That's a problem. If they want to attack us, they will attack us. If we want to attack them, we will attack them. Since we want to fight, we will fight to our heart's content. We also need to be prepared to fight all the way to Shenwu Great World, Knight Sorrow said. There's no chance. Shenwu Great World has closed the transmission formation that connects to Reincarnation City. Currently, only Thunder Cliff has a transmission formation that connects to Shenwu Great World, Lord of Precious Fragrance, who had been silent, said. That's fast. Has the transmission formation between Xuanhuan Great World and Shenwu Great World been closed? If it hasn't, quickly go to Shenwu Great World and set up a few secret transmission formations. That way, we can kill our way in whenever we want, Knight Sorrow said. Xian Daozi, go and take a look. If possible, set up a transmission formation. Here are 2 pieces of top-grade transmission crystals. Qing Emperor took out 2 transmission crystals and gave them to Xian Daozi. Okay, I'll do it, Xian Daozi said and left. If it works, we won't be too passive, Knight Sorrow said. They won't close the transmission formation to Xuanhuan Great World so quickly. After all, they are fighting with us. It has nothing to do with Xuanhuan Great World, Qing Emperor said. If not, then it's easy. Next, Master, you can study the strength of the other side and then formulate tactics. Knight Sorrow said the most important points and then cupped his hands to everyone. Then Qing Emperor made some arrangements, mainly to investigate the strength of the other side. Knight Sorrow and Datura also returned to the mansion behind the heart-cleansing tea house. Knight Sorrow, what do you think of this war? Datura looked at Knight Sorrow and asked. It's nothing. They want to take down our world of reincarnation? Obviously not. We're just trying to take advantage of them. If Uncle Xian Daozi can set up a transmission formation, we won't be passive at all. If not, then we'll have to think of something else, Knight Sorrow said. The War Tiger dynasty is very strong. If it was the world of reincarnation in the past, it wouldn't be easy to resist them. The 3 royal lords of the War Tiger dynasty are all experts among the Heaven Masters. Ordinary Heaven Masters wouldn't be able to resist them. But after you appeared, you brought the soul cultivation liquid and the cultivation method of not leaking real body. The strength of the Heaven Masters in our world of reincarnation increased, making up for the difference, said Mandela. Aluo, if there's a battle, you must be careful. Don't be reckless, Night Sorrow said. Don't worry. Before you appeared, I was not afraid of any sky pillars. After you gave me the soul cultivation liquid, my strength increased by 20%. After cultivating the secretive real body, my strength increased again. The soft jade muscle pill also strengthened my body. I can fight and kill whoever comes, Datura said. My master's body is not very good now. Apart from you, who else is strong? Night Sorrow asked. Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord is strong, but he might not participate in the war. Another is your senior brother, Sandalwood. Among the sky pillars, his combat strength should be the strongest. His attributes are the best at fighting head-on. In addition, he also used the soul cultivation liquid and cultivated the secretive real body. If an ordinary sky pillar goes against him, they will definitely be killed if they don't have a life-saving lost art, Datura said. Then what will happen if senior brother fights with the strongest in Shenwu Great World? Night Sorrow asked. This was the topic that Night Sorrow was most concerned about. The most important thing in a war was which side was the strongest. Speak. Second update. Thank you, Boss P, and the other two brothers for unlocking yesterday's chapter. Chapter 1365. It's hard to say. There are many external factors in a battle. The emperor of the Zhanwu dynasty, Lord God Hu, is very strong and has killed other sky masters. I'm confident that I can stop him. As for whether I can kill him or lose, it's hard to say. Your brother should be in the same situation, Datura said. I know. As long as I'm not at a disadvantage, it's fine, Night Sorrow said. Datura nodded. She was very confident. There was only so much room for improvement for Sky Masters. She had almost reached the limit, and Sandalwood was the same. Night Sorrow was still a little anxious. He had cultivated in the Spacetime Pagoda for 3 years and the real world for 60 years, but he still hadn't reached the Monarch realm. The further one progressed, the more difficult it would be to comprehend willpower. That was because one had already comprehended the easy parts, and the rest was extremely difficult. There was another reason. There were only so many willpower in the world. It was like a bucket full of water. It was easier to draw water with a ladle in the beginning, but later on, no amount of water would be drawn. What are you thinking about? Datura asked. I've cultivated in the real world for 3 years, and in the Spacetime Pagoda for 60 years, but my willpower hasn't reached the Monarch realm. Night Sorrow sighed. Datura laughed. She leaned forward and back and patted Night Sorrow's shoulder. It's only been 60 years. If you can make King Monarch in 60 years, there will be monarchs everywhere. Yeah. I'm a little anxious. Night Sorrow smiled. He knew that time wasn't enough. No matter how good you are, no matter how talented you are, you need time to accumulate. This is the law, Datura said. Night Sorrow nodded. He knew that the Samsara Palace took good care of him. The display of willpower was very strong, and it was a display of various forms. It was very easy to understand and accept, but it couldn't change the law of time. However, in these 60 years, Night Sorrow had also reaped great benefits. His willpower of spacetime had reached the middle stage of king level, and his willpower of nothingness had reached the middle stage of king level. At this moment, Night Sorrow and Datura looked outside and walked to the entrance of the mansion. Sikong Tiancheng and Heavenly Lord Precious Fragrance had arrived. Heavenly Monarchs, this way please. Night Sorrow cupped his hands and greeted them. Good, the Cleansing Heart Tea House is good. It's very famous now. The Cleansing Heart Tea is unique. This place has been wasted in my hands for so many years. Sima Tiancheng took his wife into the courtyard. Night Sorrow thanks Manor Head Sima for your generosity. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Then, he led Sima Tiancheng and Lord of Precious Fragrance into the mansion and brewed tea. Night Sorrow, you're wrong. This tea house was given to you by me. You don't need to return the favor. If you return the favor, I will have to accept it and owe you a favor. Sima Tiancheng said after sitting down. It's nothing. Courtesy demands reciprocity. Mannerhead is generous. Night Sorrow also needs to show some appreciation. Night Sorrow smiled. He didn't expect Sima Tiancheng to be so direct. The only genuine one, the others are all pirated, haha. Soft jade tendon pill is a good thing. It's a pill that can only be found by chance. Owing a favor is nothing. You and Lei Hua are different people. Sima Tiancheng said. Precious Fragrance Heaven Monarch and Mandela were friends and naturally got along well. Yishang and Sima Tiancheng also had a good chat. After chatting for a while, Sima Tiancheng and Precious Fragrance Heaven Monarch left. After sending the two off, Night Sorrow and Datura went to the tea house and drank tea while looking at the street outside. What are you thinking about? Datura looked at Night Sorrow and asked. I'm wondering if Sky Peak Sect is working together with Lei Hua Tiancheng. Night Sorrow said. I can't say for sure. Because no one knows what Ling Tian, this despicable person, will do. But we must be vigilant. Datura said. No one could be sure about this. Ling Tian was a despicable person who would do anything. This is an unstable factor. But we can't do anything to them now. It's morally untenable. Besides, we can't bear the impact when the war is coming. Night Sorrow said helplessly. The Celestial Sect was flaunting their prowess now, not because of the strength of the cultivators themselves, but because they had the puppet of a Heaven Master level powerhouse and the corpse of a 9th stage cultivator. After the rank 9 corpse was activated, no one knew how powerful it would be. But conservatively speaking, even if its strength was reduced when it was alive, its combat power would still be far beyond a Heaven Master level puppet. This impact was not something the world of Samsara could bear. We can only look at the situation. Now the spies of various forces are watching Sky Peak Sect closely. If Sky Peak Sect makes a move, even if there are losses, we have to deal with Sky Peak Sect first. Datura said. There's nothing we can do about it. We can only wait and see what choice Ling Tian makes. However, I don't think he'll betray the world of reincarnation because there's no benefit for him. The most he can do is to ignore this war and wait for us to suffer losses. Then, he'll come out and take advantage of us. This is also in line with Ling Tian's character, Yishan said. Datura nodded. Thunder Fire Lord betrayed the world of Samsara because he was disgraced. He was kicked out of his position as the city lord and lost all his face. It was impossible for him to develop in the future, so he was shameless. However, Sky Peak Sect had developed in the world of Samsara for countless years. It existed after the world of Samsara was formed. It had a long history and was deeply rooted. If they betrayed the world of Samsara, they would be despised by the people of the world of Samsara. Even if they wanted to recruit disciples in the future, no one would join them. Night Sorrow and Datura stayed in the mansion and waited for the news. At present, the army of Shenwu Great World appeared, but they were still in the preparation stage. They didn't attack directly. There was no possibility of surprise in the war between worlds. They could only advance steadily. A few days later, someone from the City Lord's mansion came to inform Night Sorrow and Datura to come to the City Lord's mansion for a meeting. There was some news. When Night Sorrow arrived at the City Lord's mansion, not all the Heaven Masters were there. Night Sorrow and Datura waited at the side. The meeting couldn't begin until everyone was present. However, it only took a short while. Everyone came quickly. Then, Qing Emperor, who was sitting on the main seat, spoke. We have the results of the investigation on their strength. There are 5 forces in the Shenwu Great World that joined forces to attack the world of Samsara. There are 9 Heaven Masters from the Shenwu Great World who came to participate in the war. Including the traitor Thunder Fire, there are 9 Heaven Masters in total, which is the same as the number of people we have now. Qing Emperor said. That is to say, except for the Zhanwu dynasty, all the other forces have one Heaven Master. Even if there are two Heaven Masters, they only sent one person to fight. Misty Rain added. There are quite a lot of people who came to participate in the war. Qing Emperor, is there any news about Xian Daozi? Red Emperor asked. Yes, I called everyone here today to talk about this matter. They really haven't closed the teleportation formation that connects to the Xuanhuan Great World. It's not that they didn't close it. They only closed it this morning. Xian Daozi has already returned. The two secret teleportation formations have already been set up, Emperor Qing said. Chapter 1366. Everyone nodded their heads happily. Fortunately, I came back in time. As soon as I arrived at the Xianhuang Great World, someone shouted that they couldn't teleport to the Shenwu Great World. They communicated with the Xianhuang City Lord and decided to close the portal for a while, Xian Daozi said. Hee, with the dark portal, we won't be too passive, Sima Tianqing said. Since they left a backup plan, the two armies will confront each other and officially start a war. There's no way to cheat. They're going all out. Their first target is the Black Fiend Valley, Qing Emperor said. Everyone's intention was clear. They were going to have a decisive battle in the Black Fiend Valley. Since they were already here, they would have to fight. Then, the armies of all forces were mobilized and gathered in the Dragon Cloud Mountain in the Black Fiend Valley. When the Nine Heavens army arrived, Night Sorrow, the commander, naturally arrived. Nu Lin helped Night Sorrow bring Ice Qilin along. Looking at Ice Qilin, Night Sorrow was very surprised. Ice Qilin was already a 5-star king. It hadn't been long since he had advanced from a 4-star king to a 5-star king. This showed that he was very talented. Datura told Night Sorrow that Ice Qilin was still very young. To have such a cultivation at such a young age, he was definitely a direct descendant of the Xian Ice Qilin Tiger clan. The Demon Blood Army and the Bloodthirsty Army of the Dark Abyss also arrived at the Dragon Cloud Mountain. This time, the Reincarnation Great World had mobilized all the elites. While Night Sorrow was talking with Ice Qilin, Qing Emperor came to the camp of the Nine Heavens army. Master, you're here. Night Sorrow invited Qing Emperor into the tent. After looking at all the armies, our Nine Heavens army is still the most energetic, Qing Emperor said after sitting down. Master, how are you now? Night Sorrow asked. Much better. If the heavenly law allowed you to recover 70% of your powers, then the City Lord Seal can suppress 20% of your powers. If I were to fight, I would have 90% of my powers. That should be enough, Qing Emperor said. Z genuine first release, it's not a big problem. However, the daily torment of the evil dragon's poisonous centipede is extremely unbearable, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow was very clear about the evil dragon's poison centipede. The evil dragon's poison centipede was a great torment to a person's body and soul. It was also a great test of willpower. It's alright. Actually, I've managed to survive this calamity. Qing Emperor said with a smile. Although he was tortured, Qing Emperor knew that Wuyo's life was over. Right now, I have the strength to contend against a monarch. However, the White Tiger tribe cannot be calculated as an ordinary cultivator. Therefore, I plan to go after I have a greater chance of success, Night Sorrow said. Don't worry. I'll be relieved when you reach the monarch realm. You have talents and attributes that others don't have. Once you reach the monarch realm, I'm afraid that even a Sky Master won't be able to threaten your life. You can go anywhere you want, Qing Emperor said. He knew his little disciple well. When he attacked the Fentian Tower Master in front of the Samsara Palace, he saw his potential and strength. Then, the master and disciple discussed the current situation. Qing Emperor felt that it was not the time for a life and death struggle. It was not the time for a Sky Master to fight head-on. The Samsara world would not be at a disadvantage in a war between armies. A Sky Master came from the Shenwu Great World. However, only 5 armies were mobilized. The Samsara world had mobilized almost all of their armies. They had an advantage in a war between armies. In addition, a stalemate was also advantageous for the samsara world. They would consume less energy if they fought in their own territory. If the Shinwu Great World did not achieve anything in a short period of time, their momentum would decline. Master, Lord of Heaven Yuan Dao knows about our war, right? Night Sorrow asked. He felt that it was a bit strange. A war between worlds broke out in the samsara world. As the top force in the samsara world, Lord of Heaven Yuan Dao should have reacted. Lord of Heaven Yuan Dao sent a message to you. He said that you should send a message to him if necessary. Now, Lord of Heaven Yuan Dao has other things to deal with. That is to say, only the celestial sect is not harmonious in the samsara world, Qing Emperor said. It's disgusting that the celestial sect has a rank 9 corpse. Night Sorrow muttered. Unless it was a matter of life and death, no one would be willing to provoke them. After all, it might lead to a life and death struggle. How is it between you and Datura? I think you're good. It's good that you treat each other with respect. Qing Emperor said. At first, he was worried that his disciple would be wronged if he married Datura. After all, Datura was famous for being domineering. Master, don't worry. Datura has a thorough understanding of life. He gets along well with his disciple and family, Night Sorrow said. That's good. Qing Emperor nodded and was relieved. Qing Emperor left. Night Sorrow was thinking about how to fight a war to maximize the benefits. Only then would he give the other party a heavy blow. There was a teleportation array. However, if he did not follow the rules and attack the other party's base, the other party would also attack his base. It was equivalent to killing 1,000 enemies at the cost of 100. If the other party did the same, the people would be plunged into misery and suffering. Therefore, Night Sorrow had to consider carefully. When Mandala arrived and saw Yi Shang deep in thought, she asked. Night Sorrow sighed and told him his idea. You're worried about the losses. In fact, the other party has already attacked. We don't need to worry anymore. If we don't have the courage to go all out, we won't be able to fight the war, Datura said. Night Sorrow nodded. Datura was right. However, he felt that he had to consider it carefully. Aluo, if we take down the Zhanwu dynasty's imperial palace in an instant, wash it with blood, and don't touch the other forces' main cities for the time being, how do you think the other party's alliance will react? Night Sorrow looked at Datura and asked. It's hard to say. Although it's an alliance, everyone has their own selfish motives. They are worried that if they attack our main cities, we will attack their main cities too. Therefore, it's a taboo. Don't talk about the alliance. Selfishness is human nature, Datura said. That's good. I'll think about it first and see how to deal with one first. Also, I think that we have the advantage in a sneak attack. They can't. We can set up a teleportation array secretly. If they sneak attack, our troops will be there instantly. Their sneak attack will be ineffective, Night Sorrow said. Since their sneak attack is ineffective, what else do we have to worry about? Just hit them where it hurts. If they are too cheap, we have to teach them a lesson. If they hurt, they will be honest, Datura said. Then, Night Sorrow and Datura went to the command tent. Come, Night Sorrow. This is the heart-cleansing tea you bought in your tea house. Sima Tianqing waved at Night Sorrow. Okay, thank you, Master. Night Sorrow nodded and sat next to Sima Tianqing. Do you have any ideas? Qing Emperor looked at Night Sorrow and asked. I have some ideas, but I don't know if they will work, Night Sorrow said. Chapter 1367. If you have an idea, then say it. Everyone, listen. The Azure the Arch nodded. Night Sorrow then shared his thoughts. This is a good idea. As long as we don't get attacked by a faction, they won't go crazy, said Red Emperor after everyone thought for a while. I'm just giving everyone some ideas. The war has already broken out. There's no point in being merciful to them, said Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow didn't say anything else. He just gave everyone some ideas. He wouldn't command the battle because it wasn't suitable for him. He just had to lead the Nine Heavens army. Night Sorrow left the tent and returned to the Nine Heavens army's encampment. He watched the members of the god-slaying team cultivate. Liyue, how are the resources? Night Sorrow shouted to Nan Liyue. Leader, we have all the resources. Don't worry, Nan Liyue said after coming over. If it's not enough, let me know. If we want to rise, we can't lack resources, said Night Sorrow. After Night Sorrow left the tent, Li Tianba looked at Qing Emperor and the others. Actually, I think it's good that Night Sorrow is in command. Why did he leave after coming up with the idea? He doesn't think it's suitable. Let's not force him, said Misty Rain. Then, the group of leaders started to discuss the battle plan. However, everyone felt that there was no need to rush. They should first set up the teleportation array in each faction's main city. If there was a problem, they could rush back to support immediately. On the third day after the Reincarnation World's army arrived, the Zhanwu dynasty led the Shenwu Great World's army to launch an all-out attack on the Black Fiend Valley. Qing Emperor arranged for the various armies to stop the attack and officially started the war. Night Sorrow led the Nine Heavens army to battle. Their target was Linfeng City. The army attacking Linfeng City was from the Zhanwu dynasty. When the Nine Heavens army arrived, Linfeng City had already been breached. The Mad Tiger army was attacking the city. Seeing this scene, Night Sorrow was enraged. He immediately gave the order to get into formation and kill the enemy. The Leiting and Dingxiang troops surrounded them. Night Sorrow rode on the ice Qilin and charged at the very front. With a wave of space splitter, rays of light shot out in all directions. The soldiers of the Wild Tiger Corps who were targeted by Night Sorrow were dead. The ice Qilin's body glowed with white light. That was the ice sealing will and ice sealing law. Even if it couldn't freeze a high-level king, it would still have a huge impact. In a war, even the slightest impact could be fatal. The Nine Heavens Legion sent out 6 armies this time. The Qishan army was currently stationed at the Qing Emperor's city. The Angry Qilin army, Thunder army, Dingxiang army, Anping army, Black Tiger army, and Storm army were all sent out. The Angry Qilin army had the strongest frontal combat ability, followed by the Thunder army, and then the Black Tiger army. Now that the Thunderclap army and Ding Xiang army had surrounded them, Night Sorrow led the Angry Qilin army and the Black Tiger army to fight at the front. Genuine edition, no one could stop him. At this moment, Yi Shang's cultivation was close to that of a late-stage star venerate king. When he fought with his full power, he was like a killing god. The Zhanwu dynasty's army scattered under Yi Shang's lead. Declaring war in the world of reincarnation is a slap to our face. Whoever slaps our face, we'll kill them. Night Sorrow roared. At this moment, the Nine Heavens Legion's morale was high. Because the commander was at the forefront, he could take lives with every move. Don't be so arrogant. This prince, Hu Shao, will kill you. A man in gold appeared. He was the third prince of the Zhanwu dynasty, Hu Shao. Night Sorrow knew that Hu Shao was a monarch. However, he wasn't afraid. He waved the sky splitter and began to fight. After the weapons clashed, the two separated. Night Sorrow's body shook and left the ice Qilin's back. His body flashed and charged towards Hu Shao. At this moment, the ice Qilin couldn't keep up with Night Sorrow's battle speed. When fighting against King, the ice Qilin could cooperate with Night Sorrow. However, when fighting against a monarch, it couldn't help nor participate. Night Sorrow and Hu Shao fought fiercely in the air. Hu Shao was very strong. He constantly used a unique skill. Night Sorrow also had to use a unique skill to resist. Hu Shao was good at strength. His unique skill was also a support skill. Therefore, he could fight evenly with Night Sorrow. As Night Sorrow and Hu Shao fought in the air, the legions below were fighting. Hu Shao was shocked. He was already in the late stage of the monarch realm and had comprehended 97% of his willpower. However, he couldn't suppress King. Moreover, he kept using his unique skills. The Zhanwu dynasty had two kinds of secret techniques. One was a secret technique that combined the soul and Jin Qi with a soul attack. However, only the most powerful people could cultivate it. The other was a secret technique that combined the body and Jin Qi. Tiger Roar cultivated this kind of secret technique. It was a secret technique that combined the physical strength and Jin Qi. Its attack was powerful and heavy, and it was suitable for direct combat. However, Night Sorrow cultivated the body, so the power of his secret technique was restrained, and he could not establish an advantage. Night Sorrow's unique skill was also restrained. Hu Zhao's head emitted a yellow halo that kept his soul from being affected. Therefore, he could withstand Night Sorrow's unique skill. The two of them continued to fight in the air. Violent waves of energy rolled around them. The legions below were also fighting. It was very intense. Broken bricks and broken tiles flew everywhere. Blood flowed everywhere. The Nine Heavens Legion didn't suffer heavy losses. Because of the formation, they could support each other and reduce the death rate. Seeing that his subordinates had suffered heavy losses and that he couldn't take down Night Sorrow, Hu Shao didn't want to fight anymore. Fighting would only increase the number of casualties. He shouted and ordered his subordinates to retreat. Then, he flashed away. Hu Shao didn't want to fight, but Night Sorrow and the Nine Heavens Legion didn't want to. They started to chase him. Once the formation was messed up, their fighting power plummeted. Night Sorrow led his men and started to chase. However, after chasing for 1,000 miles, Night Sorrow ordered his men to stop. The enemy had started to scatter yellow fog behind them. Without knowing what it was, Night Sorrow couldn't let his men enter. Night Sorrow went in to investigate. He sensed that it was a poisonous fog that would corrode a cultivator's true qi. It would drive them crazy and make them unable to differentiate between friend and foe. Rage Qilin, organize the troops. Check the losses. If you can save them no matter the cost. Don't give up on any of your brothers, Night Sorrow said to Rage Qilin. After giving Rage Qilin instructions, Night Sorrow returned to Overwind City. He took a teleportation formation to the command tent in Dragon Cloud Mountain Range. How is Night Sorrow doing? Qing Emperor stood up. The battle in Overwind City went well. Our Nine Heavens Legion didn't suffer heavy losses. We heavily injured the Tiger Warrior Legion. However, because they released a poisonous fog, I can't continue the chase. How are the other battles? Night Sorrow asked. There's no news yet. Their Sky Masters haven't moved. We're here to keep an eye on them. You're the first to come back, Qing Emperor said. Night Sorrow, you're good. Winning the first battle is a good start, Sima Tianqing said to Night Sorrow. I didn't kill the enemy's commander. It's just that his defense is too good. His soul defense is too strong. He has an absolute art, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow felt a little regretful that he didn't kill Hu Shao. First update. Chapter 1368. What secret technique? Datura asked. My attacks are incomparably ferocious and heavy. In the past, my body's toughness and strength were my forte, but this time, I couldn't suppress him. In addition, when I launched a soul attack, his head was protected by a halo, so I couldn't use the power of my unique skill, said Night Sorrow. It seems that you met a direct descendant of the Zhanwu dynasty. They are tiger beasts and have the sky tiger body. Their bodies are strong and their attacks are powerful. Not to mention suppression, it's good that you can withstand it, Datura said. They don't have a soul defense technique. They must have a soul defense treasure. The one you fought must be a monarch. It's good that you didn't lose. Qing Emperor looked at his disciple with satisfaction. It was rare that king could fight against a monarch. Then, news came back one after another. There were victories and losses in the war, and both sides suffered losses. The Sima Residence's army suffered some losses. The Black Fiend Valley's Black Demon Army suffered some losses. The Demon Blood Army won, the Sky Heart Army won, and the Green Scale Army suffered losses. Then, everyone made a summary of the war and the reasons why the armies lost. There were victories and losses in war. Everyone knew that this was unavoidable. No army was made of paper. There were bound to be losses in war. What they needed to study was how to avoid and minimize the losses. Then, there was the problem of the poisonous fog. Night Sorrow wasn't the only one who encountered it. The other defeated armies also encountered it. They are really unscrupulous. Everyone knows that they don't use poison in war. Although their poison isn't fatal, it's still poison, Sima Tianqing said angrily. Master Sima, we in the world of reincarnation abide by this rule. However, they are occupying our world of reincarnation. Naturally, they will use unscrupulous means, Misty Rain said. Yes, I was too impatient. Sima Tianqing nodded. Then can we use poison? Li Tianhu asked. Of course, but we don't have any poison reserves. They are prepared. This is the difference. Qing Emperor said. In the Shenwu Great World, the Poison King Valley is one of the top forces. They are good at using poison and poison arts. We have to be careful when fighting with the people from the Poison King Valley. Their Sky Master's battle prowess is average, but they have many tricks up their sleeves. They also cultivate poison arts. Misty Rain said. She had wandered around the Shenwu Great World, so she knew some things about the Shenwu Great World. We need someone to deal with their Heaven Master. Prepare some antidote pills. They must be top-notch. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for us to suppress them and we will be at a disadvantage, Qing Emperor said. I'll deal with her. I know the name of the 10,000 poison heavenly monarch. I want to see how poisonous she can be. Datura said coldly. Ah Luo, here is a glazed golden core. Take it. It will be effective when you fight someone who cultivates poison. Night Sorrow took out a glazed golden core. Don't you remember me? When I refined it last time, I kept 2 of them. Datura said with a smile. She was very happy. Night Sorrow didn't hide it from others and directly expressed his concern. This was love. F is the only F version and he was a pirated version. I forgot. Night Sorrow said and threw the glazed golden core to Sandalwood. Junior brother, you are wrong. You should give it to your wife first. You only give it to your senior brother when your wife doesn't want it. Sandalwood said with a smile. Huh, senior brother must be joking. It was Ah Luo who said to deal with the 10,000 poison heavenly monarch. Junior brother was a little worried and forgot that I had this kind of pill. Night Sorrow explained with a smile. He knew that Sandalwood was joking because Sandalwood treated him as his own younger brother. Take it. Night Sorrow, how many treasures do you have to be able to forget about a top-notch pill like the glazed golden core? Sima Tianqing shook his head. Aha, Night Sorrow is just a little careless. Night Sorrow cupped his hands towards Sima Tianqing. Although they were facing a war, the people in the tent didn't feel much pressure. To be able to cultivate to the level of Sky Master, they had experienced a lot of ups and downs. Night Sorrow then walked out of the tent with Datura. Night Sorrow, be careful. I am a little worried about you. Datura looked at Night Sorrow and said. Don't worry. I cultivate my body and can fight head-on. I cultivate the will of time and space. In terms of speed, even monarchs might not be as fast as me. You, on the other hand, I am worried about you. Night Sorrow turned and held Datura's hand and said. I know. I will be careful. Because I like to spend time with you like this, I cherish it. Datura squeezed Night Sorrow's hand and said. Night Sorrow gave Datura 2 bottles of soul-extinguishing poison smoke. The other party was proficient in poison, but the soul-extinguishing poison smoke was also a strange poison. After the war started, battles occurred every day. It was in the Blackfiend Valley region because the Blackfiend Valley was the closest to the Thunder Cliff. This made Li Tianba fly into a rage. These were all losses because in every battle, even if the world of reincarnation won, the cities would suffer heavy losses. This was something that couldn't be helped. However, the Qing Emperor promised that after the war, everyone would assist in the recovery of the Blackfiend Valley region. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. There were battles every day. Knight Sorrow also frequently led the Nine Heavens army to battle. Every time they went out, they would kill countless enemies. At this time, Knight Sorrow had already registered in the Shenwu Great World. Everyone knew about Knight Sorrow and the strength of the Qing Emperor's Nine Heavens army. After another battle, Knight Sorrow felt that the golden light of virtue in his spirit sea was stronger. This was because he had received the recognition of the world of reincarnation's origin. It recognized that he had merit for the world of reincarnation, so his golden light of virtue was strengthened. During the war, people who fought for the world of reincarnation would more or less receive some luck and merit. Knight Sorrow's gains were obvious because he had the foundation of a body of merit. The effect was more obvious. This was what the doppelganger felt. The one who received the merit was the original body. When the original body's situation changed, the doppelganger would change. Knight Sorrow led the Nine Heavens army out on patrol every day. Wherever there was a battle, he would be informed immediately. He would then lead people to kill. Sometimes, Datura would follow Knight Sorrow out on patrol. She did not participate because she wanted to watch Knight Sorrow fight. Watching her husband fight would make her feel at ease. Today, when they received news that an army was charging towards Blackfiend City, Knight Sorrow led the Nine Heavens army to meet the attack. However, the opponent was clearly prepared. 3 sovereigns surrounded Knight Sorrow. The Nine Heavens army's general was blocked. The opponent wanted to kill Knight Sorrow. Among them was Hu Shao, who had fought with Knight Sorrow before. The other 2 were a man and a woman. They were all sovereigns. The man had a gloomy aura, while the woman had a baleful aura. Being surrounded, Knight Sorrow naturally changed his tactics. The power of desolation spread into his body, strengthening his attack power. The space energy increased his speed, and he began to kill the man with the gloomy aura. Second watch. Chapter 1369. In a group battle, one had to display their speed and not be suppressed by others. In addition, one had to choose a target, grab a target, and kill it. With the full support of the will of space and the space law, Hu Shao and the other woman's attacks all missed. This made Hu Zhao's expression change. After the previous battle, he thought that Knight Sorrow's speed was only slightly faster than his. However, the speed that Knight Sorrow displayed now was different from last time. In addition, the power of his attacks had also changed. He couldn't even stop him. Last time, when he fought with Knight Sorrow, Hu Shao felt that Knight Sorrow was very strong, but not undefeatable. He felt that it would be difficult for him to kill Knight Sorrow alone and that it would be enough to find help. Then, he found Poison King Valley's Thousand Poisons monarch and his junior sister, Hu Quan, and prepared to kill Knight Sorrow when they met Knight Sorrow. Now, they met Knight Sorrow, but it was different from last time. Knight Sorrow was faster and stronger. It wasn't that Knight Sorrow had improved a lot during this period of time, but that the tactical arrangements were different. Last time, Knight Sorrow was more cautious and was a little conservative when fighting. However, this time, it was different. 3 against 1. If the path of moderation didn't work, he had to display his strength to the extreme. He pursued speed, power, and attack power. Defense was secondary. In addition, the power of Desolate spread into his body. It wouldn't be easy for anyone to hurt him. Knight Sorrow dodged Hu Shao. His left hand occasionally used Shockwave Punch and Heaven Covering Hand to block Hu Quan's attacks. The Space Rend in his right hand was either Void Extreme Kill or Space Revolving Dragon Kill to suppress Thousand Poisons Monarch. Thousand Poisons monarch wanted to curse because it was usually others who were afraid of him. However, Night Sorrow treated him as a soft persimmon and suppressed him with attacks. He didn't dare to clash with Night Sorrow's space rend and could only rely on his saber aura to fight with Night Sorrow's radiance. Because the tip of his saber had been destroyed in the first clash, he really didn't dare to clash head-on with Night Sorrow. Thousand Poisons monarch was annoyed because the more he was afraid of clashing with Night Sorrow, the stronger Night Sorrow was. He dodged Hu Shao and fought with Hu Quan, suppressing him. In the Nine Heavens army, Nu Lin and Qin Leitang were very anxious and angry. Night Sorrow, with King's cultivation, was now being surrounded by 3 monarchs. Who was Night Sorrow? That was the Nine Heavens monarch, soul of the Nine Heavens monarch. Now that they were being ganged up on, how could they bear it? They all fought with all their might to save Yishan. You've gone too far. Thousand Poisons monarch roared and raised his saber, drawing an arc in the air and slashing towards Night Sorrow's space rend. The Nine Heavens army soldiers were furious, and so was the Thousand Poisons monarch. Great Emperor Reincarnation Slash. At this moment, Night Sorrow changed his move and used his killer move. Under Hu Shao and Hu Quan's suppression, Thousand Poisons monarch was as slippery as a loach. He really couldn't kill him. Now that Thousand Poisons monarch wanted to clash head-on, it was his chance to kill him. Thousand Poisons, retreat. Seeing the purple halo rippling, Hu Shao roared and stabbed at Night Sorrow's back. Original first. Release 9 heavy armor. Night Sorrow propped up the 9 heavy armor and used the power of Desolates to protect his body. He also used a shockwave shield to defend against Hu Zhao's attack. Night Sorrow didn't want to give up halfway with his killer move. He wanted to kill one of them. Thousand Poisons monarch, who was enveloped by Night Sorrow's killer move and didn't have a soul defense like Hu Shao, fell into a daze. Just as he was in a daze, Night Sorrow's space rend pierced through space and pierced through Thousand Poisons monarch's forehead. The energy exploded, blowing Thousand Poisons monarch's head into pieces. Both his spirit sea and infant soul were annihilated into nothingness. However, at this time, Hu Shao and Hu Quan's killer moves arrived. Hu Zhao's blade stabbed at the back of Night Sorrow's shoulder and continuously collided with the energy of Night Sorrow's protective shield. Then, it broke through Night Sorrow's protective shield and pierced into Night Sorrow's body. At this time, Night Sorrow's space rend reverberated and whipped towards Hu Shao. The energy in Hu Zhao's right hand exploded. He planned to rush into Night Sorrow's body through his battle blade and explode Night Sorrow's body. However, in reality, the power of Desolates in Night Sorrow's body had already traveled through Hu Zhao's battle blade to Hu Zhao's right arm. The two types of energy collided within the battle blade. Zhan Hu's expression changed drastically. He knew how strong Night Sorrow was. If he didn't dodge, this whip would injure him. He pulled out his battle blade and retreated. However, Hu Quan seized the opportunity. The long sword in his hand followed the gap between Night Sorrow's arm and stabbed towards Night Sorrow's dantian. The 9 heavy armor flashed twice and blocked the energy on Hu Quan's long sword. However, it was still broken by the long sword. Hu Quan's long sword stabbed into Night Sorrow's waist. This was because Night Sorrow twisted his body and avoided his vital points. Hu Quan's longsword did not pierce his dantian. Night Sorrow's left hand used heaven-covering hand grab. His 5 fingers on his left hand clasped together and grabbed Hu Quan's longsword. He prevented the energy on Hu Quan's longsword from exploding and injuring his body. Then, the space rend in his right hand stabbed towards Hu Quan's head. Wind Cloud Shield. Hu Quan was unwilling to give up his longsword, so he took out a shield. The shield flashed with a green light and blocked the path of Night Sorrow's attack. Following an explosion, the shield was shattered by Night Sorrow's space rend. However, Night Sorrow's attack was also blocked. At this time, Night Sorrow's space rend slid down, and with an arc, it slashed past Hu Quan's arm that was holding onto the long sword, directly cutting off Hu Quan's arm. Hu Quan screamed and retreated. His weapon was still stuck in Night Sorrow's body. With his arm broken, how could he continue fighting? Night Sorrow turned around and used Great Death Destruction / towards Hu Quan, who was rushing over. After an explosion, Hu Quan was also sent flying. After sending Hu Quan flying, Night Sorrow grabbed Thousand Poison Sovereign storage ring with his left hand and continued to chase after Hu Quan. At this time, Night Sorrow's longsword was still missing from his waist. On the longsword hung a broken arm. Because Hu Quan's right hand was clenched tightly, his arm was still holding onto the longsword even though his arm was broken. Night Sorrow chased after Hu Quan to kill him, while Hu Quan was holding him back from behind. Looking at Hu Quan, who was attacking Night Sorrow from time to time, Hu Quan shouted, "Hu Quan, let's go." He knew that he had lost again today. The three of them had not succeeded in killing Night Sorrow. Now that Thousand Poison Sovereign was dead and Hu Quan was heavily injured, he and Hu Quan had no chance of killing Night Sorrow. "Just you wait. If I don't kill you, I'm not human." Hu Quan's body flashed and landed in the midst of the battle. Hu Quan's body flashed and he turned to run. Night Sorrow chased after him from behind. However, because Hu Quan had a soul defense and was extremely strong, it was very difficult for Night Sorrow to kill him. He also felt that his condition was deteriorating, so he did not chase after him. At this time, the Zhanwu dynasty's army was also scattered. Some were dead and some were running away. Some of the opponents were killed and some were forced to retreat. A few of the Nine Heaven Army's generals went to Night Sorrow's side. They were a little worried about Night Sorrow. At this time, Night Sorrow was also in a sorry state. His back was stabbed and his battle robe was dyed red with blood. The long sword with the broken arm was still hanging on his waist. "Commander, we were held back and caused you to be injured. Please punish us." Nu Lin's face was full of guilt. Chapter 1370. Rage Qilin, what are you talking about? What punishment? We are all brothers. Furthermore, this is just an external injury. Isn't it worth it to kill a sovereign at the cost of some external injuries? Night Sorrow said with a smile. "I'll help you, Commander," Wei Wei said. "We'll talk about it when we get back. This sword has a mechanism. There are barbs inside. I can't pull it out directly." Night Sorrow said as he got on Ice Qilin's back and flew back to the camp. After returning to the camp, Night Sorrow went into his tent, put away the 9 heavy armor, took off his battle robe, and ate an antidote pill. After circulating the energy of the antidote pill throughout his body, the energy wrapped around the sword. Then, he grabbed the hilt of the sword and slowly pulled it out of his body. Look at section unspecified currency of the original version. At this time, Datura came to the tent. She realized that the 9 Heaven Army had returned, so she came to see Night Sorrow. After arriving at the camp, she found out about Night Sorrow's situation. After glancing at Datura, Night Sorrow continued to pull the sword out of his body slowly. The two sides of the sword were full of barbs. If he accidentally pulled it hard, the barbs would stand up. At the bottom of the barbs, there was a blue light. That was poison. When the sword entered his body, Night Sorrow felt that something was wrong. So, he used Heaven Covering Hand to grab the sword and prevent Hu Quan from doing anything else. Night Sorrow took a towel and wiped the blood on his waist. "Ah Luo, help me wipe the back of my shoulder." "Who hurt you?" "I'll kill him first." Datura did not take the towel. Her eyes were full of murderous intent. Hee. I've already killed one." The other two ran away, but one of them left a hand. "Don't be angry. Come and help me wipe it." "I'll change my clothes and make tea," Night Sorrow said. "Are you in pain?" Datura's hand that was wiping Night Sorrow's shoulder trembled. "That's nothing. All cultivators are injured. 3 monarchs surrounded me and I managed to kill one of them. Isn't that great?" Night Sorrow said with a smile. "You're still laughing? Who hurt you?" Datura's eyes were filled with heartache. "Hu Shao from the Zhanwu dynasty. I've fought him once. This time, he brought 2 sovereigns with him. They're quite strong, but they're at a disadvantage, Night Sorrow said. Lord Ruler, I'm sorry. We didn't take good care of the commander. At that moment, Nu Lin and Wei Wei, who had been standing by the door, entered. It's not your fault. Nu Lin, Wei Wei, you two think too much. It's inevitable that there will be injuries in a war between armies, Night Sorrow said after tying his robe. But the commander is the soul of the 9 Heavens army. No matter who gets hurt, the commander shouldn't get hurt, Nu Lin said. It's not your fault. Don't think too much. The war just ended. You two should go and take a look, Datura said. Datura was angry, but she knew who to be angry with. The soldiers of the 9 Heavens army were Night Sorrow's brothers. This time, their target is me. Their people are madly blocking the 9 Heavens army's general and commander. They won't let anyone come to my aid. They want to kill me, Night Sorrow said. Mandela nodded. She knew that during this period of time, Night Sorrow and the 9 Heavens Legion's glorious battle record had already been made known to the Divine Martial Great Worlds Alliance. They were already paying close attention to Night Sorrow, and if they had the chance, they would kill him. That won't do. I'll send someone to protect you. Datura looked at Night Sorrow and said. Lord Ruler, there's no need. I'm here. At this time, Summer City came into the tent. His eyes were full of killing intent. Uncle Summer, why are you here? Night Sorrow asked. He remembered that Uncle Summer was resting in the city in the sky. His Majesty was worried about your Highness, so he sent someone to inform me. From today onwards, I'll fight alongside your Highness. Whoever hurts your Highness will pay back 100 times. Summer City was furious. He had no family in his life. Night Sorrow treated him as his family and uncle. Now that he was hurt, he was angry and heartbroken. It was said that a woman's heart was easily hurt. In fact, it was the same for men. Thank you, Uncle Summer. From now on, we'll fight together, Night Sorrow said with a smile. He couldn't refuse such a thing and wouldn't refuse. Then I'm relieved. Datura nodded. He knew Summer City's strength. He was a peak monarch. In the original Qing Emperor's dynasty, besides the Qing Emperor, he and Sandalwood were the strongest. What was a peak monarch? When one's willpower reached 90%, one would become a monarch. When one's willpower reached 97 to 99%, one would become a late monarch. They were called peak monarchs. Your Highness, I'll call Sheng Guanhong and Xian Daozi. They really want to fight with your Highness, Summer City said. Xia Cheng said. They were all old brothers, so he could understand what they were thinking. The last time they had fought together with Yishan had been the happiest and most hot-blooded day they had been in recent years. Uncle Summer, Uncle Shengguan is suitable to follow Qinglin. As for Uncle Xian Daozi, it's up to him, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Okay, then I'll go, Summer City said and left. Datura also left, but most people knew that Night Sorrow had been surrounded and killed. In the command tent of the Dragon Cloud Mountain Range, Qing Emperor's face didn't look too good. He already knew that Night Sorrow had been injured. Although the injury wasn't serious, it was still a signal. 3 monarchs besieging 1 king. They're really unscrupulous. However, Night Sorrow is also fierce. He killed one, injured another, and ran away. There hasn't been such a king in history. Sima Tiancheng's eyes were full of praise. What was a talent? It was the most outstanding among the same level. There were king and monarchs all over the world. It wasn't rare. However, there wasn't a king who could fight and kill monarchs. From the current situation, it could be seen that as long as Night Sorrow entered the monarch realm, killing monarchs would be as easy as pie. But this won't do. Night Sorrow and the 9 Heaven Army are the most elite under the Sky Masters. If they target Night Sorrow, he'll be in danger, Precious Fragrance Heaven said. I've informed Summer City to go to Night Sorrow's side. With the two of them together, it won't be easy for the other monarchs to surround and kill them, Misty Rain said. Qing Emperor paced back and forth in the tent. He was very worried about the current situation. In the past countless years, he only felt so uneasy when something happened to Sandalwood. This isn't enough. It's not that I'm spoiling my disciple, nor am I spoiling my disciple. This won't do. What if some Sky Master shamelessly attacks? The last time the Martial's Sacred Hall fought against my Qing Emperor's dynasty, they wanted to kill Night Sorrow, Qing Emperor said. Then who among us will protect him secretly? Li Tianba said. Actually, we just need to keep an eye on the other party's Sky Masters. If one is missing, it means there's still a move. I'll do it. I'll send a clone to keep an eye on it, Red Emperor said. Qing Emperor, we're all family. I'm more curious. Does Night Sorrow have the heavenly artifact? Sima Tianqing asked with a smile. Chapter 1371. Hee hee. I trust everyone here, so I won't hide it anymore. Night Sorrow does have a heavenly artifact, but it's incomplete. It's the Qing Emperor's pagoda. It must have been broken when the human emperor fought with the Blood Blade Sovereign, Qing Emperor said. Incomplete? What a pity. Precious Fragrance Heaven said. Actually, Night Sorrow still had a chance to get the heavenly artifact, but he gave it up for me, Qing Emperor murmured. He felt that he owed Night Sorrow. He still had a chance to get the heavenly artifact, and he gave it up. Sima Tianqing looked at Qing Emperor in surprise. Look at the original Z chapter. Then, Qing Emperor talked about how he was injured and his cultivation was destroyed. He didn't have much lifespan left, and Night Sorrow went to the Heaven and Earth Pavilion to fight. King went to the Heaven and Earth Pavilion. It wasn't easy. He risked his life. Master's safety is more important than the heavenly artifact. This is also a display of his character. I admire you. Your two disciples are unprecedented. Red Emperor cupped his hands at Qing Emperor. There are other ways to save me, but he still chose to do so. Qing Emperor nodded. How rare. We know why Celestial Sect and Martial's Sacred Palace declared war on Qing Emperor's dynasty. Now that Night Sorrow is fighting every day, they will seize the opportunity to do anything. So we have to be careful, Precious Fragrance Heaven said. My junior brother needs to be sharpened. If he loses to King, or even an Emperor, then it's because he's not as strong as others. If any big shot attacks him, Sandalwood will hunt him down to the ends of the earth, Sandalwood said coldly. Everyone in the tent didn't say anything because they knew that if they provoked Night Sorrow, Sandalwood would fight to the death. Night Sorrow recovered after a day of recuperation. His body was strong, and he only suffered external injuries, so it wasn't a big problem. However, Night Sorrow did not continue to fight, as the Nine Heavens army needed to be reorganized. Although he was injured, Night Sorrow was confident. Reality had proven that he could fight and kill monarchs. Monarchs were no longer a threat. Datura often came to accompany Night Sorrow. If it wasn't because she had something to do, she could even sing along with her husband. Night Sorrow did not need to worry about the maintenance of the army as his subordinates would take care of it. Summer City had returned, and so had Xian Daozi and Shengguan Hong. Uncle Shengguan, you have to follow senior brother Qinglin. Otherwise, his safety will be a problem, Night Sorrow said. Actually, I met Xia City on the way here. It was Crown Prince Qinglin who asked me to come to your highness. I went to the Azure Sky Pavilion to look for Xian Daozi, so we came together, Shengguan Hong said. That won't do. Senior brother Qinglin's safety is important. I can't be so selfish, Night Sorrow said. Your Highness, how about this? I'll arrange a team of shadow guards for Qinglin and Qingluan. What do you think, Your Highness? Summer City asked. If Uncle Summer says it's okay, then it's okay. There's no need to ask me, Night Sorrow said with a smile. Your Highness, the Qing Emperor's Guard, the Shadow Guards, and the Qing Emperor's City Guard all require your approval. We only have suggestions, Summer City said. When did this happen? I don't know. Night Sorrow was confused. Only Your Highness doesn't know. Everyone in the Qing Emperor's dynasty knows. Your Highness is now the regent, which means that the various departments can handle the small matters in the dynasty. However, the big matters, such as the Shadow Guards, the Qing Emperor's Guard, and the City Guard, all require Your Highness approval, Xian Daozi said. Uncles, you can handle these things as you see fit, Night Sorrow said. The Shadow Guards, the Qing Emperor's Guard, and the City Guard are the foundation of the dynasty. The use of these three forces must be approved by His Majesty and Your Highness. No one else has the right to do so. This is the principle. As for the deployment of the army, His Majesty and Your Highness are handling it together. This isn't a big problem, Summer City said. Night Sorrow then agreed, but he didn't mobilize the Shadow Guards. The Shadow Guards were good at assassination, but they weren't as good as the Qing Emperor's Guard in frontal combat. He asked Xian Daozi to send 2 teams of Qing Emperor's Guard to temporarily join Qinglin and Qingluan's army to protect them. These arrangements were very good. Night Sorrow then calmed down to think about the problem and the situation. Qinglin and Qingluan's camps were next to each other, but they were a bit far from the Nine Heaven army. When the two were drinking tea and talking about Night Sorrow's injury, Qinglin sighed, "Father is right. There are some things we can't handle." Back then, big senior brother was incomparably dazzling. Now, little junior brother is showing off his abilities. However, this is also a risk. Actually, this is what we should bear. So, brother, you arranged for Master Shengguan to be by Night Sorrow's side? Qingluan asked. Qinglin nodded, "This is the only thing I can do. Father will be happy if I do this." Qingluan looked at Qinglin. She knew that Qinglin's state of mind and awareness had changed. She was the same. At this time, 2 teams of Qing Emperor's Guard came to report. Qingluan asked and found out that it was Night Sorrow's arrangement. She smiled, "Our brothers couldn't think of it, and we don't have the right to do it." However, junior brother thought of it. It's good to have a junior brother like him. He's reliable. Haha. Your thoughts are the same as mine. Actually, after junior brother appeared, our family changed a lot. For example, family banquets. Eating family banquets together. I didn't dare to think about it before. Father has changed, mother has changed, and we have changed too. Qinglin said emotionally. Let's go see him. Qingluan said. Night Sorrow was very happy about Qinglin and Qingluan's arrival. He also gave each of them a soft jade tendon pill. I'm a bit dizzy. We're here to see you, not to accept your gift. Qingluan said with a smile. As senior brother and senior sister, you should come to see me. As junior brother, it's normal for me to give senior brother and senior sister some gifts, right? Night Sorrow said with a smile. I don't have anything to give as a senior brother. We'll accept these pills. Qinglin said. Uncle Xia, help me. Too many people have helped me in the past. I have to help those that I can. This is a soft jade tendon pill. This is a Yun spirit pill that can change one's aptitude. Send some to Danding Peak at the Tianding Gate in the Sky Mystic World first. There are a few more people that need to be given. The Tianding King at the Tianding Gate and the Big Dipper King of Big Dipper City. They have supported me all the way. Night Sorrow took out some pills and gave them to Summer City. I'll get it done. Summer City nodded. There are 2 more people that I don't know how to deal with. If I don't give them benefits, I'll feel guilty. If I give them to them, it'll feel like I'm doing charity and blasphemy. Night Sorrow said after thinking for a while. Your Highness, please speak. I'll help you analyze. Summer City said. World Lord Yen Tianpa of the Wuji world and the woman beside him, Lin Ruoxu. Night Sorrow said. Chapter 1372. Night Sorrow explained his thoughts in detail. I know the two of them. When your highness got married, they came. Summer City said. The Flame World Lord helped me before. If he has any difficulties or needs, I will definitely help him. But if I rashly give him resources, isn't that a little too high profile? It's like giving alms. I don't want to ruin our friendship. Even if my cultivation level is higher than theirs, this respect has not changed. Night Sorrow said. Yes, actually everyone has their own path in life. The friendship between gentlemen is as light as water. When they need help, you can help them. You don't have to do anything intentionally. Summer City expressed his opinion. That's fine. My persistence is not wrong. What I need to do is to work hard. When my family and friends need help, I need to stand up and have the ability to help. Night Sorrow said. After that, Summer City went to handle this matter. Night Sorrow, Qing Lin, and Qing Wan chatted for a while before they went to do their own things. On the latest chapter, Night Sorrow brewed a pot of tea and slowly studied the formation. Datura came. Aluo, you aren't in the tent? Go take a look at the army in the dark abyss. Otherwise, they will think that I am holding on to you. Night Sorrow said with a smile. Then are you willing to take me? Datura sat beside Night Sorrow. Of course I am willing. You know me. Night Sorrow turned and pulled Datura's hand. I don't know why, but my heart is flustered. After coming to see you, I feel at ease. Datura held Night Sorrow's hand and said. Don't worry. Night Sorrow reached out and touched Datura's imprint on Datura's hand. Datura nodded. She trusted Night Sorrow because she was worried. I know. I'm no longer a vegetable that can be bullied by anyone. Yi Shang comforted Mandela once again. After Datura left, Night Sorrow felt an indescribable feeling in his heart. He had changed Datura's life, and he also cherished the life he had with Datura. Just as Night Sorrow was thinking, Datura returned. Are you studying formations? Datura sat down beside Night Sorrow and asked. Yes, you're still worried. It's fine. Night Sorrow felt weird. In the past, Datura's personality wasn't like this. He wasn't a sentimental person. Once the matter was said, it was over. Let's go out for a walk. Datura looked at Night Sorrow and asked. Okay, let's go out for a walk. Night Sorrow looked at the half-completed formation and put down the pen in his hand. Night Sorrow walked out of the command tent. After walking for a while, there weren't many people left. Night Sorrow reached out to Datura's hand. He liked to walk hand in hand with Datura. When he was with Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Aoi, he was still a little restrained. Now, he was more relaxed. However, when Night Sorrow reached out his hand, Datura swung his arm and dodged it. When Datura swung his left arm, Night Sorrow's mind went blank for a moment. This was because Datura didn't have a beautiful Datura on his left wrist. It's fake. Night Sorrow knew that this wasn't Datura. This was Datura's fated opponent, Datura Chinensis. When he looked again, Night Sorrow noticed a difference. Datura's black skirt had a white inner skirt and a black veil covering it. However, this Datura Chinensis's inner skirt was red. Night Sorrow could confirm that this was Datura Chinensis, but he didn't know how to deal with it. Datura Chinensis was a titan. He couldn't win against him. Datura represented love and luck. Datura Chinensis represented evil and bad luck. Night Sorrow felt that this comment was very true. If he was unlucky now, it would be bad luck. Let's go back. I have something to tell you, Night Sorrow said. If they left the military camp, he would be in trouble and no one would know. I don't know what's wrong. It's useless for you to sense it. Today, no one can stop me from dealing with you. Datura Chinensis's face turned cold. Then, he stretched out his right hand and grabbed Night Sorrow. Datura Chinensis didn't know what was wrong, but she felt that Night Sorrow had sensed it. Otherwise, he wouldn't have suddenly wanted to go back. Therefore, she didn't care and attacked directly. Night Sorrow stretched out his right hand and used infinite killing blow. Datura Chinensis's attack was too fast. Night Sorrow used the will of time and the law to influence it. At the same time, he used afterimage. Danger. Night Sorrow knew that this was a danger. He couldn't withstand the attack of a titan because he wasn't even an overlord. With a muffled sound, Night Sorrow was sent flying. However, Night Sorrow also used afterimage. Then, the phantom crossed with his real body. Then, he attacked again. This time, it was the Emperor's reincarnation slash. Seeing the purple halo burst out, Datura Chinensis's expression changed. His body flashed and retreated more than 10 feet, dodging the purple halo. Then, he attacked again. His right hand covered Night Sorrow with a black vortex. Fast, too fast. Night Sorrow's expression turned solemn. He used Space Splitter again, followed by Death Destruction slash. The Mandala Lily retreated once more before charging forward once more. You've cultivated the Mandala's Great Death Annihilation slash quite well. If it weren't for the fact that I wanted you alive, I would have let you try out the Great Death Annihilation slash. Night Sorrow's will of time and space wrapped around his body. He kept flashing his ultimate skills. Datura Chinensis didn't fight force with force. Instead, she dodged his attacks and tried to capture him. The two of them fought with speed at the edge of the camp. Night Sorrow was highly focused. His speed and strength were at the maximum. You can still hold on? Okay, Mysterious Claw. Datura Chinensis shouted. Her right hand drew a circle. A spinning energy flew towards Night Sorrow. At this time, someone had noticed the battle. Nu Lin and the other generals came. They didn't know what was going on. Because this wasn't a spar, everyone could see. Lord Hegemon, why is that? Wei Wei called out. Stay back. Don't come over. She's not Datura. Hurry up and hide. Call for help. Night Sorrow was anxious. If Nu Lin and the others came, it would be dangerous. He relied on the will of time and space to increase his speed. He could rely on his physical strength and void chi to resist. If Nu Lin and the others came, they would be killed. Nu Lin and the others were stunned. Then, Ning, who was the quickest, ran. He had to call for help at this time. He didn't know who Datura Chinensis was, but she was a powerful figure. Night Sorrow said that she wasn't Datura, so she definitely wasn't. After all, she was Night Sorrow's wife. Someone reported it. Don't blame me. Datura Chinensis's attacks went berserk. This made Night Sorrow unable to hold on. He was hit by a palm and was sent flying. Then, Datura Chinensis continued to attack. She wanted to take care of Night Sorrow. Her purpose here was Night Sorrow. Second watch. Chapter 1373. Unsealed. After being sent flying continuously, Night Sorrow could not take it anymore. His true chi was unstable, and his speed and strength had decreased by a lot. He was directly hit by Datura Chinensis's Xian Luo claw. His body was sent flying, and blood spurted out of his mouth. Seeing that Night Sorrow was severely injured, Nu Lin, Qin Leitang, and the others started to charge forward. They knew that they were no match for the enemy, but they still had to do it. They couldn't let Night Sorrow be injured. However, they were too weak compared to Night Sorrow. They were directly defeated by Datura Chinensis and Luo Xiuzhen. Datura Chinensis waved his left hand and sent Night Sorrow flying with his energy. Then, he used Binding Spell on Night Sorrow and left the battlefield in a few flashes. The bound Night Sorrow was being carried by the Datura Chinensis. Night Sorrow bitterly smiled. He had tried his best to resist, but to no avail. After all, the Datura Chinensis was an overlord, and he was not someone he could contend against. Moments after Datura Chinensis left, Datura, Qing Emperor, and the others arrived. All they could see was the rolling energy on the battlefield. Death energy, Datura Chinensis. Datura's face was filled with murderous intent. She understood why she was so flustered. It was an omen. Darkness Master, what's going on? The Red Emperor's doppelganger, who was monitoring the other party, said. She's my destined opponent. She's here, but I didn't expect her to target Night Sorrow, Datura said. What should we do? Misty Rain asked anxiously. New update 2, new update 4 above 1 inch. I'll think of something. Datura's eyes were filled with anger and worry. Datura went to Night Sorrow's tent and tried to calm down. Since Datura Chinensis had appeared, she would be able to sense it if she calmed down. Datura Chinensis carried Night Sorrow and flew quickly. In an instant, they arrived in a bamboo forest. There was a thatched cottage in the bamboo forest. Datura Chinensis directly threw Night Sorrow to the ground in front of the thatched cottage. 8-star King, it's rare to have such strength. If you become a monarch, it will be difficult for me to deal with you. We don't have any grudges, right? Night Sorrow asked. His dantian sealed, but he could still speak. No grudges. The conflict between Datura and I originally had nothing to do with you. However, you are her husband, so it's different. Also, I heard that you have the heavenly artifact and the soft jade tendon pill. I want them, Datura Chinensis said. The heavenly artifact is with my original body. Even if I have it with me, I can't give it to you. If you want the soft jade tendon pill, no problem. If we don't interfere in each other's business in the future, I can give it to you now, Night Sorrow said. Do you have the right to negotiate with me? Datura Chinensis sneered. Do you think I don't? Night Sorrow moved his finger and the Pearl of Annihilation appeared in his hand. Pearl of Annihilation, what are you doing? Datura Chinensis took 2 steps back because the Pearl of Annihilation was too powerful. It's useless to threaten me. You're not the first person to threaten me. I'm just a clone. With the Pearl of Annihilation, all your tricks are useless, Night Sorrow said. Won't you lose a lot? If you self-destruct, won't the treasures on you still belong to me? So, you can't scare me, Datura Chinensis said. You're wrong. I can tell you the truth. As long as you touch me, I won't hesitate to activate the Pearl of Annihilation. You should know that I'm the Realm Lord and have the world's origin. Do you think you can control the world's origin? You're thinking too much. If I self-destruct, the world's origin will take everything that belongs to me and leave. Do you want to try the power of the world's origin? After saying that, purple light rippled above Night Sorrow's head. You can try if you want to target me. The 9 regions origin bead said. Night Sorrow, even if you self-destruct, you'll lose this powerful clone, right? The one who loses is still you. Datura Chinensis looked coldly at Night Sorrow. So what? At most, I'll just cultivate another clone. It's useless to threaten me. Night Sorrow looked at Datura Chinensis. At this moment it was a battle of wits and ruthlessness to see who had the higher IQ and who was more ruthless, including being ruthless to himself. Useless? If I kill you, how many clones can you cultivate? Don't force me to fight to the death with you. Datura Chinensis's eyes emitted 2 rays of ominous light. However, if you force me, it won't do you any good. I'm a virtuous person. As long as you force me to self-destruct, you won't have any luck in the world of reincarnation. If you don't have good luck, you might die. It's up to you to believe it or not. Night Sorrow closed his eyes and meditated after saying that. Datura Chinensis was very angry. Now, she really didn't dare to force Night Sorrow because it would really lead to consequences that she didn't want to face. Datura Chinensis came out this time to fight with Datura. Her goal was to kill Datura Datura. As long as she killed Datura Datura, she could gather the luck of Datura Datura, Datura Chinensis, and the love of heaven and earth. Perhaps she could take that step. After knowing that Datura Datura was married, Datura Chinensis planned to start with Night Sorrow. However, she found that Night Sorrow was a tough nut to crack. She couldn't use force. Night Sorrow could self-destruct, and Night Sorrow was a virtuous person. If she forced Night Sorrow to self-destruct, it wouldn't do her any good. Night Sorrow and Datura Chinensis were in a stalemate. Night Sorrow couldn't escape, and Datura Chinensis didn't want to block her path. At this time, Datura Datura arrived at the 9-domain world and the heaven-sealing palace. When Datura Datura arrived, Night Sorrow also came out of the heaven-sealing palace. Night Sorrow told Datura Datura about the situation and the current situation. "Okay, I'll go over now." Datura Datura said. "Okay, I'll fight with her. I feel that she's not as strong as you, but you still have to be careful. Since she attacked, she must have planned it." Night Sorrow said. "I know. This is a fated battle. Since I'm here, I'll have a good fight. I just didn't expect her to attack you. Be careful, but don't self-destruct unless you have no choice." Datura Datura said. Then, Datura Datura told Night Sorrow the reason. The integrity of a cultivator's soul was very important. Cultivating a clone meant that the soul was split, but it was still complete. However, if one self-destructed, even if they cultivated another clone, they would still lose a part of their soul. An incomplete body would be very difficult to cultivate. It didn't conform to the laws of heaven. Night Sorrow nodded. He didn't want to self-destruct, but if he was forced to, he had no choice. He just hoped that Datura Datura could arrive in time. Night Sorrow had analyzed Datura Datura and Datura Chinensis's strength. Night Sorrow and Datura Datura were husband and wife. The two of them cultivated together. Night Sorrow knew Datura Datura's strength very well. His attacks were very powerful. Datura Chinensis couldn't do that, but Datura Chinensis's speed was very fast. This was his strength. Aluo, that Datura Chinensis is very fast. You have to be careful. Night Sorrow reminded Datura Datura. "Okay, I'll be there soon." Datura Datura said. "Speak." Chapter 1374. Unsealed. Night Sorrow's clone in the Burning Sky Hall gave Datura Datura the concentric crystal. Night Sorrow's clone had the concentric crystal, but he couldn't use it now as it would alert Datura Chinensis. Night Sorrow's two clones could locate each other. Datura Datura and Night Sorrow's clones in the Sealing Sky Hall could locate each other. Datura Datura returned to the world of reincarnation and started the chase. Qing Emperor, Zhan Tan, and the others were very anxious, but there was nothing they could do because Datura Chinensis had run away and they couldn't find him. Datura Chinensis looked at Night Sorrow and paced back and forth. "Are you really going to fight me head-on?" Datura Chinensis looked at Night Sorrow and asked. "I'm not the one who wants to fight you head-on. You're the one who found me, so I have to persevere until the end." Night Sorrow said. "Okay, since that's the case, we'll slowly fight later." Datura Chinensis waved her arm and flew with Night Sorrow wrapped around her. She was also worried that others would locate her. After Datura Chinensis entered the world of reincarnation, she did some investigation and knew that Night Sorrow wasn't simple. She knew that touching Night Sorrow would be like poking a hornet's nest. Datura Chinensis couldn't do anything because Datura Datura was tyrannical and she couldn't fight him head-on. Besides Night Sorrow, he had no weakness. Datura Chinensis had entered the world of reincarnation for decades, even before Night Sorrow. However, Datura Datura had no weakness, so she couldn't attack him. After Datura Datura got married, Datura Chinensis knew that Datura Datura had a weakness, but she didn't have a good opportunity to attack him because if she touched Night Sorrow, a few heaven masters would attack her. She couldn't handle it. Now that the Samsara Great World was facing the attack of the Shinwu Great World, the Heaven Master could not spare any time to help, so she took action. However, Datura Chinensis knew that Datura would definitely take action. The war in the Samsara world was definitely not as important as Night's sorrow in Datura's heart. Therefore, Datura Chinensis could not stay in one place. If Night's sorrow was an ordinary person, then Datura Chinensis would have killed him directly. This would cause a crack in Datura's mental state and affect Datura's luck and aura. However, Night's sorrow had a body of merit. If she killed Night's sorrow, she would lose more than she gained. She would be condemned by the heavenly Tao. Datura Chinensis planned to slowly grind and look for an opportunity. As long as Night's sorrow was in her hands, she felt that she would have a chance. Night's sorrow's clone in the heaven's ceiling Great Hall communicated with Datura and told her about the current situation. At the same time, he reminded Datura that Datura Chinensis's target was her. His own safety was not a big problem. Datura also understood this point. Datura Chinensis's target was her. As long as he killed her, his luck would flourish. Datura Chinensis carried Night's sorrow and flew without stopping at all. Datura Chinensis arrived at a special location. Then, she took out a teleportation array disc and started to teleport. Then, she changed the crystals on the teleportation array disc and teleported continuously. Night's sorrow could not remember the way because she had entered a few small spaces. Night's sorrow could not locate her location. After changing a few more spaces, Night's sorrow saw a pitch-black river. The river appeared from the void and entered the spatial world. Then, it flowed in the spatial world. Night's sorrow knew that this was the Netherworld River. Even your main body and clone can't locate this place because the energy of the Netherworld River interferes with your location. Everything you do is in vain. Of course, you can stay with your main body, Datura Chinensis said. You won't succeed, Night's sorrow said. Is that so? You are young and don't understand. As long as I trap you, Datura will be uneasy. Her mental state will soon be broken. Isn't that enough? What do you think the world will think if their husband is captured? If her mental state doesn't break in 10 years, what about 100 years? If her mental state doesn't break in 100 years, I will continue to trap you, Datura Chinensis said. Ruthless. Datura Chinensis's move was very ruthless. If she could not save Night's sorrow, Datura's heart would be tormented. In addition, her reputation would be greatly damaged. This was Datura Chinensis's goal. If Datura's mental state was broken, Datura Chinensis's opportunity would come. He could calmly make arrangements to deal with Datura. Night's sorrow's clone and Datura in the Heaven's Ceiling Hall told Datura to return because they had to make a new plan. When Datura arrived at the Heaven's Ceiling Hall, Night's sorrow told Datura about the current situation. I didn't expect her to be so ruthless. She wants to use you to break my mental state. My Tao heart is destroyed. She doesn't need to kill me. I will be destroyed. Datura's face was filled with anger. Datura Chinensis's method was very despicable. Everyone knew that it was not a family member's fault. However, as a giant, Datura Chinensis was unscrupulous. Aluo, she thinks that her scheme is very useful. In fact, from another perspective, it is completely useless. Because she thinks that you can't save me, you will feel guilty and lose face. But in fact, what can she do by trapping me? Aluo, I've fought with him before. He's much stronger than me because his comprehension of willpower is deeper. He has a perfect willpower. But give me some more time. I don't need you to do anything. I can save myself, said Night's sorrow. Really? Datura looked at Night's sorrow and asked. Yes. As long as I enter the monarch realm, she won't be able to kill me. I can leave and run as I wish. It won't take too long. It will only take 3 to 5 years, Night's sorrow said. Good. That little bitch. She really pisses me off. She is so shameless. Datura scolded. Aluo, this is not like you. Night Sorrow said with a smile. He knew that everything was fine. Datura scolded, which meant that his emotions had stabilized. There was no pressure in his heart. Why is it not like me? Can't I be popular? She is too infuriating. Datura said. Let's go to the battlefield. Right now, the war between the Reincarnation Great World and the Divine Martial Great World is more important. Let my master and the others know that I'm fine. Didn't the Mandala Lily want to compete with us in patience? Let's try it out, said Yishan. Datura nodded. She believed in Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was already a merit saint in the 9 regions world. He was blessed with luck. In the world of reincarnation, he was also a merit saint. Some time ago, Night Sorrow led the allied forces to drive the Lord of Heaven Thunder Fire out of the position of the city Lord of Reincarnation City. He had returned peace to the world of reincarnation. Staying in Datura Chinensis's nest, Night Sorrow calmed down. It was enough for him to cultivate diligently. As long as he cultivated to the monarch realm, he would be able to fight with Datura Chinensis. Datura Chinensis did not care about Night Sorrow. She felt that capturing Night Sorrow was enough. She just wanted to make Datura suffer. Besides, she could not do anything to Night Sorrow. She did not dare to kill Night Sorrow. It was not good for her to hurt a cultivator with a merit body. If she didn't go overboard, then Yishang's life or death wouldn't be affected by karma. After Mandala sealed Night Sorrow's dantian, she did not make things difficult for Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow was too lazy to remove the seal. The death energy was overbearing, but it was nothing in front of the void energy. Besides, Night Sorrow had the underworld stone. When he used the underworld stone, the death energy that Datura Chinensis left in his dantian disintegrated instantly. This threat was nothing. Speak. Chapter 1375. Yishang did not break it, because if he broke the seal on his dantian, he would be discovered by the Mandala Lily, and it would be disadvantageous for him in future battles. Head Hair Night Sorrow even built a thatched cottage and stayed there. Then, he studied the array, ate, and slept. Looking at Night Sorrow's calm attitude, Datura Chinensis was very angry. However, there was nothing she could do. Night Sorrow's Pearl of Annihilation was always in his left hand. If she went overboard, Night Sorrow would detonate it. After thinking about it, Mandala could only bear with it. If she could lock up Night Sorrow, her goal would be achieved. Night Sorrow studied the array every day. He was almost done with the 9 Serenities Slaughtering God Dragon Tiger array. He wanted to integrate all of his understanding of array Dao into it. Time slipped away. Night Sorrow was not worried about the situation. He had already told Datura to send the 7 armies of the 9 Heaven Army to battle. They needed to make a decision. The 7 army leaders had a meeting and the minority had to obey the majority. The specific matters were under the command of Nu Lin. With that, the 9 Heavens Legion could operate normally. What Yishang needed to do was to cultivate and quickly reach the monarch realm. Qing Emperor and the others knew about Night Sorrow's situation through Datura. They were not worried and focused on the battle in front of them. The reincarnation world could not afford to lose this battle, so they had to be careful. The battle was still going on, but it was not as intense as before. This was because both sides were exhausted and could not support a high-intensity battle. Under such circumstances, Samsara world was able to stabilize itself. Among them, Mandela and Heavenly Lord God Tiger fought once. Both sides were evenly matched. This made Heavenly Lord God Tiger very shocked. This time, the Zhanwu dynasty's allies came to attack the reincarnation world. Lord of Heaven God, whose biggest reliance was his peerless combat power. He felt that the strongest person was in the Shenwu Great World. No matter how they fought, he could crush them. However, Datura's strength was beyond his expectations. He did not have the upper hand at all. In addition, the second emperor of the Zhanwu dynasty also fought with Sandalwood. In the end, Sandalwood came out on top. In the battle of the strongest, the Zhanwu dynasty's alliance did not gain the upper hand. Thus, they could only continue to fight. Knight Sorrow was in an unfamiliar spatial world, but he was very calm. He knew that in the battle between the Shenwu Great World and the Reincarnation World, the main deciding factor was the battle of the Heaven Masters and the battle of attrition. Knight Sorrow could not participate in the battle of the Heaven Masters. He also did not have the ability to do so. The battle of attrition was the job of the army. Even if he was there, he could only command and lead the army. Now that he was trapped in this small space, he might as well calm down and study the ultimate techniques of array formations, mystical skills, and absolute arts. Datura Chinensis did not disturb Knight Sorrow. She was now delaying until Datura could not rescue her husband because he was captured. This would lead to the destruction of her realm and the collapse of her Dao heart. Datura Chinensis's tactic was correct. If it was not for Knight Sorrow's certainty and Knight Sorrow's conviction, her tactic would be fatal to Datura. This was just like how Knight Sorrow had been frantically looking for a solution after the Qing Emperor's problem. If she did not solve it, the problem would get worse. Time was nothing to high-level cultivators. Datura Chinensis had experienced countless years since she existed. 100 years, 10,000 years, or even 1,000,000 years were nothing to her. Of course, this was just the beginning of Datura Chinensis's plan. After a period of time, she would make some other arrangements. For example, she would spread rumors outside that Knight Sorrow had feelings for her. It did not matter if others believed it or not. As long as she could attack Datura, it would be fine. For many years, Datura Chinensis did not make a move because Datura had no weakness. Now that she had found a weakness and made a move, Datura Chinensis would make use of it to the end. Knight Sorrow did not run or make a fuss. She quietly studied array formations and combat techniques. Datura Chinensis did not interfere. She even felt that Datura was lucky. If Knight Sorrow did not have a body of merit, she would have thousands of ways to torture and attack her. She would make Knight Sorrow and Datura unable to bear it. Now, because Knight Sorrow had a body of merit, she had countless methods that she could not use. Knight Sorrow always held the annihilation bead in her left hand. No matter what she did, she would always hold it. In other words, if Datura Chinensis made any excessive movements, Knight Sorrow would self-destruct and completely destroy her avatar's body and soul. Then, karma would be created. Datura Chinensis was not willing to bear such karma. What made Datura Chinensis very angry was that Knight Sorrow drank good tea every day. Sometimes, she would make some wine. Her days were very pleasant. When she wanted to drink tea with Knight Sorrow would throw a tantrum. If she could not win in a battle, she would pour the tea. Once the wine was poured, she would not give Datura Chinensis any chance to get close or attack. Datura Chinensis was very angry. Knight Sorrow did not have the awareness of being a prisoner. She did not have any sense of superiority. Knight Sorrow, break up with Datura. Whatever you want in this world, I can help you get it. Datura Chinensis looked at Knight Sorrow, who was drinking tea, and said, "You think too much. First of all, you can't do anything to Datura. You don't even dare to leave this world. How can you help me? Let's just be quiet. If Datura's state of mind is broken, then her cultivation is not enough. If her state of mind is not solid enough, it is impossible for me to hurt her." Knight Sorrow said. Datura Chinensis shook his head. "You are wrong. Perhaps not for the time being. When Datura loses, I will kill her. Then, Datura and Datura Chinensis's heaven and earth's favor and fate will gather on me. It will not be difficult for me to achieve great success. I will not dare to look at any giant in the world. Then let's wait until you've reached the point where you can look down on everyone," Yishang said. He appeared very calm. Datura Chinensis smiled. Actually, this choice is beneficial to you. Datura's figure and appearance are the same as mine. As long as you are willing to announce to the public that you have broken up with Datura, I will be your woman. You have everything she has. Don't you want to try something new? As for the forces under my command, after killing Datura, I can also rule the dark abyss of the samsara world. I can also help you conquer the world. Tell me, what will you lose? Knight Sorrow glanced at Datura Chinensis and did not speak. He knew that Datura and Datura Chinensis were fundamentally different. Datura Chinensis did not have any principles at all. She did not have any morals, ethics, or even shame. A woman's chastity could be used as a bargaining chip. In order to achieve her goals, she would do anything. Think about it carefully. When you understand, tell me. As long as you can help me to kill Datura, my words will always be effective. Datura Chinensis stretched her waist, intentionally or unintentionally showing off her impressive figure. Knight Sorrow turned his head to the side. He loved Datura from the bottom of his heart. Chapter 1376. Knight Sorrow was very serious about the matters between men and women. He would never indulge himself. He loved Sikong Chuyu, Yang Lei, and Aoi. He also loved Xueshi and Datura. He loved his home even more, so Datura Chinensis's woman was nothing. If Knight Sorrow was into women, then he could accept Qing Wan, who had the best appearance and figure. Qing Emperor and Misty Rain would support him. In fact, Knight Sorrow also knew that Qing Wan didn't dislike him, but he refused. Back then, Yishang and Xueshi had gotten together by accident. They had first started a relationship, and then developed feelings for each other. After they got married, Yishang no longer had any regrets in his heart. Now, the mandala lily had used its beauty to move Yishang, but it was useless, even though it had cost a lot. Knight Sorrow's heart was like an ancient well. He didn't accept any of Datura Chinensis's tricks. Every day, he deduced formations and magic skills, and then practiced actual combat with his doppelganger in the heaven-sealing hall. Because it was inconvenient for the doppelganger beside Datura Chinensis to do these things. Datura Chinensis couldn't do anything about Knight Sorrow's calmness and indifference. He meditated and cultivated every day, comprehending the great Tao of heaven and earth, and wasted time with Knight Sorrow. Time passed little by little. Knight Sorrow's original body worked hard in the Samsara Palace, comprehending the will of nothingness and the will of time and space. In the blink of an eye, 5 years passed. Knight Sorrow stayed in this space called Black Water for 5 years. This was equivalent to cultivating in the Samsara Palace for 100 years. In 100 years, Knight Sorrow's cultivation reached a bottleneck, the peak of the Star King. As long as he went one step further, he would be a monarch. 5 years passed. Datura often went to the heaven-sealing hall in the 9 regions world to see Knight Sorrow and tell Knight Sorrow about the current situation. P. Unique. Original and version, other plus J are all stolen equals version. The current situation was very stable. Both sides had wins and losses. Datura was a little unsettled. Knight Sorrow had been captured for 5 years. She didn't know how Knight Sorrow had been doing in the past 5 years, but she knew that being locked up meant that he definitely wasn't doing well. Ah Luo, I'm doing very well right now. In the past 5 years, I've accelerated my cultivation by 100 years. Although it's a little different from what I expected, I've reached the peak of Star King. I'm only 1 step away. If I take 1 more step, I won't be afraid of her anymore. I'll be able to fight her and protect myself, Knight Sorrow said. If you don't take the initiative to attack her, then give her a reason to deal with you. If she's acting in self-defense, then injuring you is a different matter. It's different from taking the initiative to kill a person of merit and receiving divine retribution, Datura reminded Knight Sorrow. I'm not stupid. I just want to leave and run. She'll definitely attack me. Then shouldn't I fight back? Self-defense? I understand this logic, Night Sorrow said with a smile. After hearing Night Sorrow's words, Datura's anxious emotions calmed down again. Night Sorrow had cultivated Leakless' real body. His aura was tightly locked. Datura Chinensis didn't notice the changes in Night Sorrow over the past 5 years. It wasn't something that she could notice either. At this time, Night Sorrow was a little anxious. With his current cultivation, it was very difficult for him to take the next step. Comprehending the will of heaven and earth was a huge gap. Once he crossed it, he would be an overlord. His attacks would already have some power. Night Sorrow was a little annoyed. If he couldn't take the next step, he would be under Datura Chinensis's control forever. He wouldn't be able to fight back. After drinking a cup of heart-cleansing tea, Night Sorrow went to the Yellow Springs River and watched the river flow. This was because Night Sorrow had the will of time and space wrapped around him. Otherwise, the Yellow Springs River's dense death energy would have taken away his life energy. Standing by the Yellow Springs River, Night Sorrow was a little emotional. What was the Yellow Springs River? It was the first river that ran through countless spatial worlds, high-level worlds, and great worlds. There were countless living creatures in every world. There were humans and monsters. After a living creature died, its soul energy would dissipate and return to the world. Where did it go in the end? It was the Yellow Springs River that ran through countless worlds. After these souls entered the Yellow Springs River and were purified, they would leave behind the death energy and undergo the next rebirth. Countless years had passed. The Yellow Springs River had purified countless souls, but it also left behind the death energy that suppressed the world. Night Sorrow stood by the Yellow Springs River and looked at the rolling Yellow Springs River. No matter how strong you were, no matter how tyrannical you were, as long as you died, you would go to the Yellow Springs River. Even if you were a heaven overlord, you wouldn't be able to change this law. Floating on the Yellow Springs River were pale white bones. Some had already melted, but some were still emitting light. Those were the bones of high-level cultivators. The bones were full of energy. It could be said that the river washed away all heroes. Crack. A white bone was broken. It was eroded and melted by the Yellow Springs River. Melted. The death rule and will contained some nothingness rule and will, although it was only a small part. Looking at the Yellow Springs River, Night Sorrow's original body, who was stuck at a bottleneck, stopped cultivating. He used what his doppelganger saw and heard to comprehend. After watching for a while, Night Sorrow's original body sat cross-legged again to comprehend the will of nothingness contained in the will of death. At this time, the eyes of the Samsara origin body in the Samsara palace seemed to see through everything. He saw through the space pagoda and saw Night Sorrow with the death energy on him. A genius. He has comprehended again. Becoming a monarch is just around the corner, the Samsara origin body murmured in a low voice. The Samsara origin body could only show its will, but it could not help others comprehend it. It was very optimistic about Night Sorrow, but it was powerless to help. The Samsara origin body also knew that Night Sorrow had been captured. Everything that happened in the world of Samsara could not be hidden from it. Datura Chinensis was Datura, which included Night Sorrow. The Samsara origin body was clear about their fates and would not interfere. Of course, if Datura Chinensis dared to kill Night Sorrow when Night Sorrow was innocent, the Samsara origin body would not tolerate it. Killing a cultivator with the body of merit was against the way of heaven. Night Sorrow was the peak of the Star King. The Samsara origin body knew that it was very difficult for him to go further. It was the last step of the path of a king. Once he crossed it, he would become a monarch. A monarch with the highest attribute would be a tyrant among the monarchs. Even a giant might not be able to kill him. Night Sorrow was stuck at a bottleneck. The Samsara origin body could only watch. Now that Night Sorrow had entered a state of enlightenment, as long as he had the results, he could become a 9-star king, which was a monarch. The Samsara origin body was very happy. Through what the doppelganger saw and heard, Night Sorrow's main body entered a state of enlightenment. By coincidence, Night Sorrow found the opportunity to break through. In Blackwater World, Night Sorrow's doppelganger returned to the thatched cottage. He took out a jar of wine and drank it in big gulps. Night Sorrow did not have much wine left. He only had 3 jars. Night Sorrow felt that if everything went well, he would leave Blackwater World after finishing these 3 jars of wine. Seeing Night Sorrow drink in big gulps, Datura Chinensis was very puzzled. In the past 5 years, Night Sorrow had been very restrained. Even if he drank, he only drank lightly. It was not like today. What's wrong? You can't take it anymore, or Datura can't take it anymore? Datura Chinensis asked. Second update. Thank you for your support, Dolly Maru and Unseal. Everyone else, help out. Don't let me be the only one to unseal. Hee hee, everyone's flame is high. Chapter 1377. Night Sorrow didn't say anything. He finished a jar of wine and went into the thatched cottage to rest. He had nothing to say to Datura Chinensis. Seeing that Night Sorrow didn't say anything and went to sleep, Datura Chinensis smiled. She knew that things had changed. She had locked up Night Sorrow for 5 years. She wanted things to change, but she never thought that this change was because Night Sorrow had found an opportunity to break through. After drinking, Night Sorrow calmed down. Every day, he would meditate. Sometimes, he would take a walk beside the Yellow Spring River. For ordinary people, the Yellow Spring River that ran through countless spatial worlds was very scary. If living creatures got close, their vitality would be drained. However, for Night Sorrow, it wasn't like that. He was suppressing the will of nothingness and the chi of nothingness, hiding his strength that was about to break through. However, with the will of time and space protecting his body and the leakless real body, the vitality in his body wouldn't be drained. The cleansing power of the underworld river had a deep feeling for Yishang. That kind of feeling was very strong. Yishang felt that the soul of this clone had escaped the restriction of the rules. It wasn't restricted by the soul of the main body. After being cleansed by the cleansing power, the soul power became much purer. Night Sorrow deduced formations and studied secret arts every morning. In the afternoon, he would take a walk beside the Yellow Spring River, enduring the cleansing of his soul. Datura Chinensis meditated every day and also practiced secret arts. She had 2 kinds of secret arts. One was the Great Death Destruction Slash, and the other was the Xian Luo Claw. It had the death attribute as its core and contained the power of space. It formed an extremely strong binding power. Night Sorrow tried to comprehend it by analogy. He combined the profound meaning of the Xian Luo Claw with his heaven-covering hand. However, Night Sorrow's doppelganger in the Heaven's Sealing Hall did the deduction and cultivation. After all, he didn't want to provoke Datura Chinensis now. Breaking the seal on his dantian might anger Datura Chinensis. Datura Chinensis looked very calm, but she was a dangerous person. Once she was angered, the consequences would be severe. Night Sorrow couldn't fight against her, so he was very careful. Night Sorrow's days were the same as before. Datura Chinensis was a little puzzled. According to the situation that day, something should have happened to Night Sorrow, but now, Night Sorrow was extremely calm. It shouldn't be like this. Mandala knew that it was useless to ask. She couldn't get anything out of Yishang's mouth because Yishang's state of mind was good. When his state of mind was calm, she couldn't get anything out of him for free. Night Sorrow's avatar didn't know what was going on with the main body. Under the influence of the Yellow Springs River, Night Sorrow's main body entered an epiphany. This made Night Sorrow very happy. Entering the state of enlightenment at the peak of Star King realm meant that he would definitely enter the Monarch realm. The war between the Reincarnation world and the Shenwu Great World was still ongoing. The war was expanding, and other top forces in the Shenwu Great World joined in. This wasn't a matter of great grudges, but rather a battle between 2 worlds. It involved face and destiny. Yuan Dao Heavenly Lord didn't appear, but the primordial army went out. It was Yuan Dao Heavenly's army, and also a self-defense army. Yuan Dao Heavenly only had one army, but it was very strong. The situation was very turbulent, and Yi Shang knew all about it. However, there was nothing he could do at the moment. His main body had to cultivate. The reincarnation great world did not lack an emperor. As for him, only when his main body broke through would he have a chance to escape. At this moment, in the big tent of the Dragon Cloud Mountain, the leaders of the Reincarnation World Alliance were all present. The situation is in a stalemate. No one can compete with Night Sorrow in terms of strategy and tactics. Red Emperor said. Lord Ruler, when will Night Sorrow return? If he's here, we won't have such a loss. Li Tianba said. Soon. Mandala is a leader. Night Sorrow is trapped in a spatial world by her. Because of the interference of the natural will and rules, Night Sorrow and I can't determine the location. It's easy to find a big world from a small world, but difficult to find a small spatial world from a big world. We can't rescue him. Datura said. If Night Sorrow wants to escape, he can only rely on himself. And to do that, he needs strength. Qing Emperor said. If he wants to save himself, doesn't he need to have the strength to fight against a leader? He's a star king. If he wants to fight against a leader, even if he doesn't get stuck in a bottleneck, he still needs a lot of time. He won't be able to participate in this war. This Datura Chinensis really knows how to pick a time. Lord of Precious Fragrance said. It shouldn't take long. I believe in him. When he returns again, it will be time for him to become famous. Datura said. She knew about Night Sorrow's situation and had confidence in Night Sorrow. Your trust in your husband is a little blind. But Night Sorrow is already famous. At his age, who can do this? Who can cultivate to such a high level? Lord of Precious Fragrance said. Right now, both sides have a tacit agreement that the leaders won't take action. Therefore, invincible monarchs are crucial. We don't have such talents at the moment, but the princes of the Zhanwu dynasty all have this ability. Sha Chongtian of the Martial God Palace also has this ability. Our losses were mostly caused by the few of them. Our generals were all killed by them. Misty Rain said. This can't be helped. The royals of the Zhanwu dynasty are all talented monsters with strong combat abilities. Sha Chongtian is the same. Sandalwood said. That's right. Right now, we won't be at a disadvantage in the fight between the leaders. Lord Ruler and Sandalwood can suppress and fight against each other. What we lack now is an invincible monarch. Summer City can, but they can only fight against each other. They can't suppress them. Qing Emperor said. Yes, our monarchs are stronger than ordinary monarchs. For example, the 3 generals of the Dark Abyss are more than enough to kill ordinary monarchs. However, they are not enough to fight against the top monarchs of the Shenwu Great World. Datura said. In the previous war, the Dark Abyss suffered great losses. Mo Shui died in battle. He was killed by Prince Zhan Hu of the Zhanwu dynasty. Prince Zhan Hu was famous in the Shenwu Great World. He had the title of the #1 monarch. He could kill other monarchs easily. In this War of Worlds, he had killed or seriously injured several monarchs of the Reincarnation Great World. Therefore, we have to find invincible monarchs who can suppress the other monarchs. Otherwise, our monarchs will be seriously injured and we won't be able to fight. Sima Tianqing said. The Azure Supreme the Arch and the others felt helpless as well. Prince Zhan Hu was already infinitely close to becoming a Sky Master. His comprehension of intent was only one step away from perfection. In addition to his extraordinary talent, he was invincible among those below the Sky Master level. The other strong cultivator was the young master of the Heavenly Moon Pavilion, Lin Qingyi, who was at the same level. The Heavenly Moon Pavilion was not an ally of the Zhanwu dynasty. They were fighting for the Shenwu Great World. Moreover, they were very aggressive. The army of the Sima residents was defeated. Chapter 1378. Damn it, I'm so angry. If it weren't for the mandala lily, Yi Shang would have been able to take care of Prince Zhanhu. Don't forget that when the three sovereigns surrounded him, Yi Shang managed to kill and severely injure them. Li Tianhu cursed. He was a heaven pillar, so how could he curse? After all, his descendants had been killed. My son, Tian Xian, fought with them once and only managed to survive. We can't go on like this, Red Emperor said. Everyone knows the strength of the sovereigns under our command. They won't be able to deal with just a few people. If we can't restrain them, we can only stabilize the situation first and then find a suitable person to deal with them, Emperor Qing said. Everyone nodded. This situation wasn't easy to solve. In terms of numbers, the reincarnation world had many sovereigns. However, they were at a disadvantage. This situation was similar to the 9 domain wars. The invincible honorables were important. Datura arrived at the Heaven Sealing Hall and had 2 cups of wine with Night Sorrow. He also told Night Sorrow about the current situation. I need time. My original body has entered an epiphany. After this seclusion, my original body and doppelganger will fight. If they want to fight, we'll fight to our heart's content, Night Sorrow said. Star King had entered an epiphany at the peak level. There was no doubt that he would enter the sovereign realm. The most important thing was the duration of the epiphany. As long as he woke up, he would be in sovereign with the highest attributes. Alright, I'll tell them to lie low for a while and wait for you to come out, Datura said. With the time acceleration of 20 times, 20 years of epiphany is only 1 year in real life. Besides, who can have an epiphany for 20 years? It won't take long, Night Sorrow said. He was very confident now. That's good. Stay calm. Don't provoke Datura Chinensis. If your clone dies, it will delay your real body's enlightenment. Also, the monarch realm is nothing to you. Only when your soul is complete will you be able to comprehend intent. That way, it will be easier for you to reach the Sky Pillar realm, Datura reminded Night Sorrow. I will stay calm. I won't arouse her suspicion. My clone is studying and deducing a unique skill. Once I reach the monarch realm, I will fight with her. I want to see the difference between a heaven master and a monarch, Night Sorrow said. I believe you. As long as you enter the monarch realm, it will be difficult for the Sky Pillar to kill you. You can just run away. Don't fight her, Datura said. After Datura returned to Long Yunshan's command tent, he reported Night Sorrow's situation. Star King has reached the pinnacle of his cultivation. When he wakes up, he will be a monarch. That's great. We have to endure. Li Tianba slammed the table and said. Then, the Sky Pillars decided to slow down their attack to avoid unnecessary losses. If they lost too much now, when Night Sorrow returned, he would have absolute combat power in the monarch realm. If they didn't have enough people, they wouldn't be able to turn the situation around. Night Sorrow stayed in the Blackwater space. Every day, he was very quiet. Datura Chinensis didn't make things difficult for him because no matter what Night Sorrow did, he always had the Annihilation Orb in his left hand. It had been like this for several years. This made the Mandala Lily understand that Night Sorrow was determined to fight to the death. If he self-destructed, then the fish would die. If Night Sorrow was forced to self-destruct, then the Mandala Lily would be affected. Datura wasn't willing to do such a thing. She wanted to compete with Datura for her future. If she forced Night Sorrow to his death, she would destroy her own future. Night Sorrow didn't provoke Datura Chinensis either. He just did his own things. He calmed his mind, focused his mind, cultivated his mind, and cultivated his array skills. Your true chi and energy don't leak. It's very similar to the legendary leakless body. How about I use my ultimate skill to exchange for your technique? Mandala looked at Night Sorrow and said. I don't have an ultimate skill, and I'm not interested in yours. Night Sorrow instinctively rejected. Ultimate skills were impressive, but they couldn't compare to the leakless true body. In general, the leakless true body was also an ultimate skill, but its effects and uses were beyond the scope of an ultimate skill. One had to know that it was a technique to pass the trials of wind and fire. This was something that all sky pillars dreamed of. How could Night Sorrow exchange the leakless true body with Mandala Datura? This was impossible. It was impossible at all. Seeing Night Sorrow turn around and go for a stroll, Datura Chinensis was so angry that she stomped her feet. Suddenly, the ground cracked, and the cracks extended in all directions. Datura Chinensis was really angry, but she couldn't do anything to Night Sorrow. She wanted nothing more than to kill Night Sorrow right now, but she couldn't. It wasn't impossible to kill Night Sorrow, unless she didn't enter the world of reincarnation. That way, she could ignore the heavenly punishment of the world of reincarnation. However, her battle with Datura had just begun. How could she not enter the world of reincarnation? But if she killed Night Sorrow and entered the world of reincarnation, she would be punished by the heavenly punishment. With bad luck, she could easily die. Datura Chinensis had no choice but to endure. Although she had the strength to kill Night Sorrow, she couldn't. Datura Chinensis appeared to be calm. Night Sorrow also felt more at ease. What he needed most now was to calm down. After calming down, Night Sorrow continued to study Array Tao. His 9 Serenities Slaughtering God Dragon Tiger Array was close to completion. He had completely mastered the 9 Serenities Slaughtering God Array. If Datura Chinensis wasn't watching him, he would have refined the point array disc. After calming down, everything calmed down. The world of reincarnation turned to defense. The world war wasn't that intense, but there were still people who died. In the world of Black Water, because Night Sorrow was calm and Night Sorrow wasn't angry, Datura Chinensis didn't do anything excessive. Datura Chinensis planned to wait a little longer before taking action. She went out to spread the news and use it to disturb Datura's state of mind. Night Sorrow could feel his cultivation increasing. Before the epiphany, Night Sorrow had been using resources to cultivate. His energy cultivation had been following his realm. When he was cultivating, Night Sorrow also piled up a large number of Holy Spirit stones around him. Night Sorrow wanted his cultivation to keep up with his realm. Then, he would be able to fight after the advancement. He would have the realm and cultivation of the monarch. Night Sorrow was very excited to feel the increase in his cultivation. His current cultivation had surpassed the range of Star King. Time slipped away. In the blink of an eye, 3 months had passed. Night Sorrow had been cultivating in the Palace of Reincarnation for 5 years. On this day, Night Sorrow's body shook. Then, the aura on his body changed. The will of nothingness rippled in all directions. It was strong and overbearing. The purple halo kept annihilating the energy of the Holy Spirit stones around him. Monarch Realm. After 5 years of epiphany, Night Sorrow entered a realm that countless people couldn't reach. Updates soonest after Night Sorrow's original body advanced, he opened his eyes to take a look. After withdrawing his aura, he continued to cultivate. His comprehension was very smooth. The epiphany was interrupted by the impact of the will after the advancement. The comprehension could still continue. Chapter 1379. Release. Night Sorrow's original body continued to comprehend, but the clone in Blackwater world made a move. Night Sorrow, who was taking a walk beside the Yellow Spring River, shook his body and released his monarch-level chi. He rushed towards the death energy trapped in his dantian and activated the Yellow Spring Stone in his dantian to absorb the death energy. With a boom, the death energy around Night Sorrow's dantian was shaken off and absorbed by the Yellow Spring Stone. After unlocking his dantian, Night Sorrow shook his arm and held the Sky Breaker in his hand. His aura rippled in all directions. It was the impact of battle intent. During this time, Yi Shang's doppelganger in the Blackwater realm had not cultivated the battle intent, but the doppelganger in the heaven-sealing Great Hall could continue to cultivate the battle intent and absolute arts. Datura Chinensis's body flashed and appeared a few feet in front of Night Sorrow. Monarch? That's right. I'm already a monarch. I think I can fight now. Night Sorrow pointed at the ground with the Skybreaker. His battle intent and willpower surged in all directions. You want to fight? Datura Chinensis's face was full of shock and anger. She knew very well that the 8-star king's Night Sorrow could resist her for a while. Now that the 9-star king was a monarch, his battle power was even stronger. Why was the 8-star king a king and the 9-star king a monarch? Because it involved the power of one's will. An 8-star sovereign king comprehended 80% of the will of heaven and earth. However, a sovereign king was different. I'm leaving now. If you stop me, you're asking for a fight. If you take the initiative to kill me, no matter if I win or lose, you won't have a good ending. Night Sorrow's arm shook, and the purple halo on the Skybreaker flowed in circles. Datura Chinensis took a step back and her face changed. Night Sorrow's willpower and energy made her understand why Night Sorrow could fight above his level. The supreme attributes, void willpower, void rule, void energy, a complete set of supreme attributes. How can I let you escape now? If I kill you, I won't go to the world of samsara. I'll just stay in Shenwu Great World and Black Yellow Great World. Datura will come to me for revenge. By then, her state of mind will be broken and she will die, Datura Chinensis said coldly. You might have thought this before today, but it's too late now, Night Sorrow said. Do you think you're so confident after becoming a monarch? Die. The Datura Lily extended her arm and slashed her long sword at Night Sorrow. You want me to die? Let's see if you can do it. Night Sorrow's right hand shook, and the purple halo on the Skybreaker collided with the tip of Datura Chinensis's long sword. With a loud explosion, Night Sorrow and Mandala separated. Both of them took a dozen steps back. So this is all you've got? Come again. Night Sorrow poured the power of Desolates into his body, and his bloodline talent propped up a protective shield. With the support of the space-time willpower, the Skybreaker performed the Void Extreme Kill and rushed toward Datura Chinensis. Shameless boasting. Datura Chinensis waved the long sword in his hand. The long sword with a black halo slashed toward Night Sorrow's Skybreaker. Although he was boasting, Datura Chinensis was shocked. Night Sorrow's attack strength was almost the same as hers. The amount of true chi was not as high as hers, but the quality was high. It completely suppressed her death energy. Night Sorrow's true chi was high, which made up for the lack of true chi. It was the same in a battle of willpower. In addition, Night Sorrow's body contained the power of Desolates, and his protective shield was made of spatial energy. With the support of the space-time willpower, his speed and strength increased a lot, making up for the gap between him and Datura Chinensis. The two of them began to fight by the Yellow Springs River. When there was danger, Night Sorrow would perform the afterimage body. Night Sorrow's afterimage body could not only alleviate the danger, but it could also seize the initiative. Datura Chinensis was shocked. Night Sorrow was too strong. He had just become a monarch, but he could fight her to a standstill. Even if he was lacking, he could rely on his body strength and speed to make up for it. Death's Destruction Slash. Datura Chinensis, who was a little anxious, used her ultimate move first. Seeing Datura Chinensis use her ultimate move, Night Sorrow's soul power activated her golden light of virtue to resist the influence of her soul. Then, she used the Void Extreme Kill to meet Datura Chinensis's longsword. When the Death's Destruction Slash's black halo enveloped Night Sorrow, it was blocked by the golden light on Night Sorrow's head. Datura Chinensis's expression changed. The power of an ultimate move was most important to the spacetime and soul. Apart from that, it was only at the level of an ordinary Xian skill. With a loud explosion, the two weapons collided once again. Night Sorrow was pushed back, and so was Datura Chinensis. Night Sorrow's Void Extreme Kill was also a mature Xian skill. Although it blocked Datura Chinensis's ultimate move, Night Sorrow was unable to melt Datura Chinensis's weapon. Datura Chinensis's weapon was tyrannical, and it was also supported by her perfect willpower. It was not something that Night Sorrow could break through. The battle between the two continued. Night Sorrow did not use his ultimate move. Using an ultimate move would consume a lot of energy. On the other hand, his and Datura Chinensis's biggest weakness was their true chi. The amount of true chi they had was not as much as Datura Chinensis's. This was the difference between an overlord and an overlord. Translator, Nyoibo Studio Editor, Nyoibo Studio 2 hours, 4 hours passed. Night Sorrow and Datura Chinensis had both consumed a lot of true chi. However, the situation was becoming more and more favorable for Night Sorrow. This was the effect of Night Sorrow's tyrannical body. Datura Chinensis, your true chi is about the same as mine. Can you take me down? Night Sorrow, who had been on the defensive all this time, said after using a violent move. I'll definitely kill you too, you adulterous pair. The red spider lily shouted harshly. Then I'll wait for you. Night Sorrow used afterimage body and escaped into the distance. Night Sorrow had his reasons for choosing to leave at this time. If he ran at the beginning of the battle, Datura Chinensis would definitely chase after him. Night Sorrow also wanted to know the difference between him and Datura Chinensis. He wanted to know if he could contend against Datura Chinensis, and if he could not, how much of a difference was there. This battle lasted for 4 hours. The result of the battle was a tie. It was very difficult for Night Sorrow to kill Datura Chinensis. It was almost impossible. Datura Chinensis could not kill Night Sorrow even if she wanted to. Night Sorrow's attributes, rules, and willpower all suppressed her. After fighting for 4 hours, Datura Chinensis had consumed a lot of true chi. Night Sorrow was comparatively less exhausted. He did not use his ultimate move. He knew that it was unrealistic to kill Datura Chinensis, so he kept fighting conservatively. Night Sorrow's body flashed and left at an extremely fast speed. Datura Chinensis slashed out a sword light, but the sword light missed. She did not chase after him. If she did, the result would be different from before. She had consumed a lot of true chi. If she continued to consume it, she would most likely lose. Datura Chinensis, remember this. It's best if you don't let me see you again. The next time we fight, the result will not be like this. Night Sorrow left behind a few words. Speak. Chapter 1380. Unsealed. After leaving Datura Chinensis's residence, Night Sorrow flew directly toward the space barrier of Blackwater World. When he arrived near the space barrier, Night Sorrow found a place to meditate and recover. He didn't have a transmission array disk, so he had to pass through the space turbulence. There was no cultivation civilization in Blackwater World, neither human beings nor monsters with cultivators. There were no other transmission arrays except for the one set up by Datura Chinensis. The transmission arrays set up by Datura Chinensis were not connected. They were all connected by the transmission array disk, so Night Sorrow couldn't use them. However, Night Sorrow knew that he could pass through the space turbulence. After resting and recovering for 4 hours, Night Sorrow recovered to his peak state. Then, he probed for a bit before heading towards the nearest spatial world. How did the transmission array come about? It was set up by Datura Chinensis. It must have flown out before it was set up. If Datura Chinensis could fly out, why couldn't he? Night Sorrow was confident that if Datura Chinensis could do it, so could he. The fact was that the transmission array was set up by Datura Chinensis. If she could pass through it, Night Sorrow could naturally pass through it, but it was very difficult. It took Night Sorrow half a month to reach a high-level world with a civilization and a transmission array connected to the big world. Yongjiu said, along the way, Yishan had also set up a hidden teleportation array. He felt that it might be useful one day. Of course, there was also the possibility that it wouldn't be useful. Yishan didn't lack ordinary teleportation array crystals. Sitting on the transmission array of the high-level world, Knight Sorrow arrived at the world of Samsara. Then he teleported again and arrived at Black Demon City. Now the command center of the world of Samsara had been moved to Black Demon City. As soon as Knight Sorrow arrived at the door, Qing Emperor, Datura, and the others appeared. Disciple greets Master, Master's wife, and everyone. I, Knight Sorrow, am back. Knight Sorrow saluted the group of people. Monarch. You're a monarch? Li Tianba stuttered because this speed was too fast. When he first learned about Knight Sorrow was still a beginner king. Luckily, I broke through. Otherwise, I wouldn't be back, Knight Sorrow said. You fought with Datura Chinensis? Datura asked excitedly. Yishang nodded. He didn't want to talk about this as it was a bit of an exaggeration. However, it was unrealistic for him to run out without fighting. Sneak away? No sovereign king or sovereign lord would be able to sneak away under the nose of a heaven pillar giant. It's good that you're back. We've been too depressed recently, Sikong Tiancheng said. For the past 5 years, almost 6 years, Yishang has not participated in the battle. I am very sorry. Yishang cupped his hands and said. Let's go in. What's the point of talking outside? Li Tianhu said. After entering the city Lord Manor, Qing Emperor explained the current situation. A part of Black Fiend Valley had been conquered because the monarchs of Samsara world couldn't withstand the attacks of the other monarchs. If they fought head-on, some monarchs would fall. If they didn't fight head-on, some territories would fall. Currently, they didn't lose much territory because the other party didn't dare to attack separately. They only sent top-tier monarchs to conquer territories. Knight Sorrow then learned that Sima Manor, Black Fiend Valley, and Qing Emperor's dynasty all had generals fall. Knight Sorrow was relieved that Nine Heaven Army didn't. However, Nu Lin was heavily injured because several generals of Nine Heaven Army used a combined formation to block Prince John Hu. He dares to injure a general of Nine Heaven Army? He must have a death wish. He had heard that Nu Lin was injured and Yi Shanghua was injured. The soldiers of the Nine Heavens Legion were all his brothers. Nu Lin was the #1 general of the Nine Heavens Legion, which meant that he was the vice commander. How could Yi Shang not be angry when Prince John Hu injured him? Knight Sorrow, that Prince John Hu is very strong. He's infinitely close to a Sky Master. Prince Flying Hu is also very strong. The two of them are on one side. The other side is Marquis Qingyi Lin Qingyi from Sky Moon Pavilion. She's a woman who controls 7 normal attributes. Her attacks are very aggressive. Our people can't handle her, Datura said. I'm back. I'll lead Nine Heaven Army to battle, Knight Sorrow said. It's been so frustrating. They've been suppressing us because they have top-tier monarchs. We're in a passive position. If we don't fight, our territory will be stolen. If we fight, people will be killed, Sandalwood said. After telling Qing Emperor that he could fight at any time, Knight Sorrow left the City Lord Palace and went to Nine Heaven Army's base in Black Fiend City. Yi Shang looked at Nu Lin. Nu Lin was a senior from 2 months ago. His chest had been pierced by Prince John Hu's sword. He had been severely injured, but after 2 months of rest, he had almost recovered. Commander, you are a king now? Wei Wei looked at Yi Shang with surprise. After dodging a disaster, my cultivation has improved. Knight Sorrow nodded. Commander, during the years you weren't here, we didn't work hard. We couldn't beat them, Nu Lin said. I was captured and couldn't fight. My brothers have suffered, Knight Sorrow said apologetically. Commander, don't say that. We know the situation. As long as you're back safe and sound, we can fight with you again, Wei Wei said. After that, wine was served. The generals and Yi Shang drank to their heart's content in the tent. While they were drinking, Qing Emperor, Misty Rain, and Datura arrived. Night Sorrow, you've been wrong these years. It's my fault, Qing Emperor said. Master, you think too much. I haven't been able to fight with you these years. It's my fault. Night Sorrow bowed. Let's not talk about this. I'm here to ask you if you don't need to stabilize your cultivation. Qing Emperor asked after sitting down. No need. I can fight at any time. Night Sorrow was still angry. Prince John, who is a tyrant among monarchs. Night Sorrow, are you confident? You just leveled up. You can stabilize for a while, Misty Rain said. Yes. I've been too depressed these years. I need to fight. I need to fight now, Night Sorrow said. Night Sorrow, tell me the truth. Did you fight with Mandala Sarah and then escape? Mandala asked. Yes. I didn't have a chance to kill her, but she couldn't kill me either. After fighting for 4 hours, I retreated. Datura Chinensis didn't chase me because she knew that it was useless. She couldn't kill me. Night Sorrow didn't hide anything since there were no outsiders here. Night Sorrow, your body has 90% of the original body's combat power. If the original body comes out, it will be even stronger, Datura said excitedly. Not in a short time. After I leveled up, the original body only woke up for a while. The epiphany didn't stop. It's still learning, Night Sorrow said. If the original body could continue to learn, Night Sorrow wouldn't give up. The monarch realm wasn't the peak of cultivation. There was still room for improvement. Night Sorrow wouldn't stop. The original body's improvement was something that could never be stopped. Speak. Here's the second update. Thank you for unsealing it. Chapter 1381. You've broken through to the monarch realm, but you're still having an epiphany? Misty Rain looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. After entering the monarch realm, it was even harder to comprehend willpower. It was almost impossible to achieve an epiphany. How should I put it? It's my lucky chance. I was stuck at the bottleneck of Star King's Peak and it was difficult for me to break through. When I was upset, I went to the Yellow Spring River for a walk. Looking at the flowing Yellow Spring River, I had a feeling, so I had an epiphany. After entering the monarch realm, I was only slightly awakened by the impact of willpower. Then, I continued to cultivate. Night Sorrow felt lucky when he thought of this. If you can continue to comprehend, don't come out. After entering the monarch realm, you can still have an epiphany and comprehend willpower at a high speed. It's too rare. Datura said. It's my lucky chance. Maybe I'm just lucky. Night Sorrow smiled. It's good that you're back. Now that you're back, we're at ease. Besides, the Heavenly Moon Pavilion is approaching the eastern district of the world of Samsara. We have to stop them. That Marquis Qing Yi is difficult to deal with. Qing Emperor said. Then I'll go and kill her. Night Sorrow said coldly. Qing Emperor nodded. Now, besides Night Sorrow, no one could stabilize the situation. During this period of time, the situation in the world of reincarnation was not good. If it were not for the fact that Night Sorrow could break through, the world of reincarnation would have started a war between the giants. The world of reincarnation could not withstand a war between giants. This is the military report. Take a look. Qing Emperor took out a complete map of the world of Samsara and then told Night Sorrow about the current situation. The situation is not good. I'll deal with the Heavenly Moon Pavilion first. They are not far from Qing City. The next city to be attacked will be Qing City. I'll take the 9 Heaven Army there and wait for her. Night Sorrow rolled up the military report and made a decision. I'll go and prepare the army. Nu Lin and the other generals stood up. Everyone knew that Night Sorrow had decided to fight. They all wanted to see Night Sorrow's first battle after becoming a monarch. With the teleportation array, the soldiers of the 9 Heavens Legion moved very quickly. An hour later, they arrived at Qingcheng. Qingsheng was a beautiful scenery in the Qing Emperor's dynasty. There was a big lake outside the city, and beside the lake was a flat plain. Standing on top of the city gate, Knight Sorrow wiped Lai Kong with a towel. 2 hours later, the densely packed Silver Armor Legion was about 5 kilometers outside of Qingsheng. They landed in an orderly fashion, led by a woman in a red robe and golden armor. She was different from ordinary women. Her hair was not tied up in a bun, but rather hung loosely behind her head. She held a golden staff in her hand. With so many Sky Masters here, are you going to use us, the Sky Moon Army, as your first strike? The golden armored woman waved the golden sword in her hand and roared. No, we're not going to bully a junior. The battle between the Sky Masters has nothing to do with you. Qing Emperor said. So many Sky Masters are here to watch me take the city. You think too highly of my daughter, said the Marquis of Qingyi, Lin Qingyi. Taking Qingsheng is not a matter of words. 9 Heavens Legion, prepare for battle. Yi Shang's white battle robe danced in the wind as he rode the ice Qilin to the city. He stopped 2 miles away from Lin Qingyi. Then, the 7 armies of the 9 Heaven Legion lined up outside Qing City. 7 square formations stood behind Yi Shang. Who are you? Lin Qingyi waved the staff in her hand and asked Knight Sorrow. Translator, Endless Fantasy Translation Editor, Endless Fantasy Translation, Qing Emperor's Dynasty, 9 Heavens Legion, Knight Sorrow. Knight Sorrow glanced at the staff in Lin Qingyi's hand. Knight Sorrow. I know you. You're the commander of the 9 Heavens Legion, the number 1 legion in Samsara world. You're also known as the number 1 commander. I didn't expect you to appear after not fighting for a few years. Lin Qingyi was stunned when she heard Knight Sorrow's name. That's a bit exaggerated. Since we've met before the battle, let's settle it with a battle. Knight Sorrow said. I've defeated many monarchs in the world of reincarnation, but I haven't defeated anyone from the Qing Imperial Dynasty. Today, I'll make an exception. If I'm lucky enough to defeat you and the 9 Heavens Army, then no one will be able to become my Celestial Moon Army, said Lin Qingyi. Maybe. How do you want to fight? I, Knight Sorrow, will accompany you to the end. Knight Sorrow said. You're bold. I, Lin Qingyi, went to the Qing Emperor's dynasty's territory to contribute to the Shenwu Great World War. I only want to take down the Qing Emperor's dynasty's territory. I don't want to kill too much. Let's fight to the death. This way, we won't stand in each other's way in the future. Lin Qingyi said. If I, Knight Sorrow, lose and die, I won't stand in your way. What if you lose? Knight Sorrow asked coldly. It's the same. If I, Lin Qingyi, lose and die, I won't stand in your way either, Knight Sorrow. Lin Qingyi said. Okay. Knight Sorrow nodded. Lin Qingyi's feet trembled and she flew toward Knight Sorrow like a bolt of lightning. Knight Sorrow leaped into the air and used the space splitter. Then, he used the space whirling dragon kill. Their weapons clashed in the air and there was an explosion. Knight Sorrow's body fluttered slightly, but Lin Qingyi was sent flying more than 60 meters away. Recently, Knight Sorrow had made a change to his fighting style. The power of Desolates was always in his body. This made the advantage of his strong body and great strength even more obvious. When fighting with people of the same level, his strength was overwhelming. His protective Jin Qi was the power of space, which made his speed faster. Lin Qingyi's expression changed when she was sent flying. Knight Sorrow's strength was too strong. She felt as if she had been hit by a giant beast. At this time, Knight Sorrow flew forward rapidly. A series of afterimages appeared behind him. Then, he used the Void Extreme Kill and attacked Lin Qingyi. Streaks of energy appeared on Lin Qingyi's body and spun towards Knight Sorrow's space splitter. Bang! The two collided again. The space was shaken and cracks spread out in all directions like a spider web. Knight Sorrow knew that this was Lin Qingyi's signature move. A mixed attribute and will formed by the fusion of 7 ordinary attributes. Even high-level attributes would not have any advantage in front of her. However, Night Sorrow's attributes were supreme. His will, rules, and energy were all supreme. Therefore, Lin Xingyi could not withstand it and was suppressed. After being sent flying by Night Sorrow again, Lin Xingyi's golden sword spun. Her body rippled with 7-colored energy and attacked Night Sorrow again. Night Sorrow used the Void Extreme Kill again. He wanted to see what this mixed will was like. Therefore, he did not use his ultimate move. The two of them flew in the air between the two armies. However, everyone could see that Lin Xingyi was definitely at a disadvantage. Universe Strike. Lin Xingyi, who had been suppressed by Night Sorrow, shouted. She knew that if she did not change, she would lose. Night Sorrow used the space splitter in his hand and used his ultimate move. Chapter 1382. Great Emperor Reincarnation / Both of them unleashed their ultimate techniques at the same time. Lin Xingyi's golden energy formed countless rays of light that shot towards Night Sorrow. Night Sorrow's gray protective energy vibrated and blocked most of Lin Xingyi's attack. Only some of the rays pierced through Night Sorrow's protective energy shield, but only his robe was cut. Night Sorrow had the power of Desolate stored in his body, so some of the attacks couldn't break through. However, Night Sorrow felt that Lin Xingyi's attack was really sharp, and it made him feel pain. Ordinary ultimate techniques could affect the soul and time, but Lin Xingyi's ultimate technique, Heaven and Earth Strike, wasn't like that. Countless rays of light exploded from her body and bombarded Night Sorrow's body, destroying his body. Was this the real deal? Only Night Sorrow could do this. Other than running away, the others couldn't block it. Night Sorrow blocked Lin Xingyi's Heaven and Earth Strike, but Lin Xingyi couldn't block Night Sorrow's Great Emperor Reincarnation / Her body was enveloped by a purple halo, and everything seemed to be still. Lai Kong seemed to have passed through space and appeared directly in front of Lin Xingyi's head. Break! Lin Xingyi roared, and the energy in her body exploded. Various colored halos rushed towards the purple halo on her head, and then she raised her arms horizontally. Although the soul and time were affected, every cultivator had their subconscious, which was their instinct. At this moment, Lin Xingyi felt the threat of death and instinctively unleashed her potential. Seeing that Lai Kong's assassination route was blocked, Night Sorrow raised Lai Kong and smashed it down. Night Sorrow could stab and hurt Lin Xingyi, but he would send Lin Xingyi flying. That way, even if Lin Xingyi was injured, she would have a chance to recover. That wasn't what he wanted. Therefore, the power of Desolate surged and poured into his arms as he smashed down with all his might. Ga! Ga! With two crisp sounds, both of Lin Xingyi's arms were broken. She was originally blocking Yi Shang's attack with her head, but then she changed her stance at the last moment. Naturally, she couldn't withstand Yi Shang's ferocious attack. Both of her arms were broken, even though they were filled with energy. After breaking Lin Xingyi's arms, Night Sorrow's Sky Splitter continued to smash down. It hit Lin Xingyi's collarbone and broke it. Lin Xingyi was smashed to the ground. Lin Xingyi was hit so hard that she fell to the ground and cracked the blue stone on the ground. Even though Lin Xingyi's arms were broken, she didn't let go of gold. When she knelt on one knee and crawled to her feet, Yi Shang's space splitter stopped between her eyebrows. You lost. Yi Shang said. You lost. Lin Xingyi stood up and looked at Yi Shang. From today onwards, I don't want to see the Sky Moon Army in the Samsara realm. Night Sorrow said. If I fail, there's no point for the Sky Moon Army to stay. Listen up, don't fight anymore. Go back to Shenwu Great World and tell the Pavilion Master that this is what I want. Night Sorrow, you can make your move now. Lin Xingyi turned around and spoke to the army. Then, she looked at Night Sorrow. Leave. Night Sorrow took a few steps back. You're not going to kill me? Lin Xingyi looked at Night Sorrow in surprise. You said that you came here because you wanted to contribute to the Shenwu Great World Realm War. You wanted to take over the territory of the Qing Emperor's dynasty. You didn't want to kill more people. So did I, Knight Sorrow nodded. The Marquis of the Heavenly Moon Court, Lin Qingyi, owes you a favor. You will not see me or the Heavenly Moon Army again in the Realm War. Retreat. Lin Qingyi nodded to Yi Shang and retreated, leading the Heavenly Moon Army away from the battlefield. Miss, I didn't protect you well and let you get hurt. An old woman flew to Lin Qingyi's side. Aunt Mu, if he wants to kill, no one can stop him. It's not your fault. Lin Qingyi looked back at Knight Sorrow, who was still standing on the battlefield. Is it appropriate for us to not fight? Aunt Mu asked. Aunt Mu, which army is the strongest in the Samsara realm? It's the Ninth Heaven Army. At the beginning of the Realm War, the Ninth Heaven Army was invincible. Later, they quieted down because their commander wasn't there. But even without the commander, they were able to hold their ground. Now that the commander has returned, and he's ridiculously strong, the Nine Heavens Army now has a backbone. If we continue to fight, the Sky Moon Army will be gone. There won't be anything left. Lin Qingyi exhaled and said. She was seriously injured and her arms were broken. But at King's level, it was easy for them to regrow broken limbs. She had almost recovered. I've checked the information of the Samsara realm. 5 years ago, when Knight Sorrow was a king, Hu Shao of the Zhanwu dynasty led 2 sovereigns to kill him. One was killed, the other was disabled, and the other escaped. He wasn't a sovereign at that time, but he was an expert among sovereigns. Now that he's a sovereign, it's hard to find a match for him. Aunt Mu said. We've contributed to the realm war. It's not wise to fight to the death when we know we can't win. Lin Qingyi shook her head. She felt defeated and powerless. Knight Sorrow gave her the feeling that he was invincible. His aura was majestic. Whether it was strength, speed, or attacks, they all had a majestic aura. His every move was unstoppable. Lin Qingyi knew that Knight Sorrow fought conservatively. When he defeated her, he used his ultimate move. Miss, are there any sovereigns in the Shenwu Great World who can stop him? Flying Tiger Prince isn't a match for you. What about War Tiger Prince and Sha Chong Tian? Aunt Mu asked. Lin Qingyi shook her head. Flying Tiger Prince has no chance. He can't even defeat me. Sha Chong Tian is about the same as me. There's no chance of defeating him. I'm not sure about War Tiger Prince's strength, but he might be able to fight him. Aunt Mu, I need information on Knight Sorrow. The more detailed, the better. Aunt Mu nodded. She was Lin Qingyi's follower and helped her with some trivial matters. Knight Sorrow watched Lin Qingyi leave. He waved his hand and ordered the Ninth Heaven Army to retreat. He jumped and landed on the city gate. Good. Good fight. Li Tianba stood up and smashed the table into pieces. He was too excited. Knight Sorrow, why didn't you kill them? Kill them all, Li Tianhu said as he glared at them. There's no need for that. Defeating them without fighting is the best strategy. The Heavenly Moon Pavilion is here for the Realm War. They have no enmity with us. The Ninth Heaven Army can kill some of them, but there will be losses. The losses aren't worth it because our main opponents are the War Tiger Dynasty, Marshall's Sacred Palace, and Poison King Valley. We can defeat them if they're here for the Realm War. Knight Sorrow explained why he didn't kill Lin Qingyi. Knight Sorrow, you're right. If you kill them, the Heavenly Moon Pavilion will appear again in the future. It will be troublesome for us. Now, they won't bother us. Qing Emperor nodded at Knight Sorrow. That's right. One battle to settle the problem. Knight Sorrow, no one but you can do that. Sima Tianqing said. This time, I chose the Heavenly Moon Pavilion for this battle. In the next battle, I'll start killing. I'll choose an opponent and kill them all. Knight Sorrow said. He knew that he needed to be benevolent and righteous at the same time. Chapter 1383. Me too. I don't know / unsealed, then we'll deal with Marshall's Sacred Palace in the next round. They deserve to die. The Crimson Emperor said. Okay, then we'll deal with Marshall's Sacred Palace in the next round. Knight Sorrow nodded. He also felt that Marshall's Sacred Palace was a force that deserved to be destroyed. Then, Sima Tiancheng suggested drinking, and the group flew towards the city lord's mansion. At the level of Heaven Masters, Datura and Sandalwood could restrain and suppress them. The reincarnation Great World was at a disadvantage because of the lack of monarchs. Knight Sorrow's first battle after his return had shown his ability, which made everyone feel much more at ease. After drinking, Knight Sorrow and Datura strolled around the city. After I'm done with this, I'll spend some time with you and your family, Knight Sorrow said. Datura nodded. It wasn't easy for you to escape this calamity. Datura Chinensis probably won't give up so easily, but she won't have many chances to make a move in the future. Datura felt relieved that Knight Sorrow had entered the monarch level because Knight Sorrow was indeed her weakness. Holding Datura's hand, the two strolled around the streets. Datura asked Knight Sorrow how he found out that Datura was a fake. Hee. I wanted to hold her hand, but she avoided me. How can a wife do that? Actually, I was a little agitated at that time. I should have calmed down, and then my clone in the heavens sealing Great Hall would find a way to inform you. But thinking about it, I've gained a lot in the 5 years that he captured me, Knight Sorrow said. He was indeed satisfied that he had used 5 years to enter the monarch realm. You're indeed a little anxious. You should calm her down first. As the two talked, they got on the teleportation array. Knight Sorrow wanted to go home to take a look. His family knew that something had happened to him, so he went back to take a look. His parents and wife would also feel at ease. When Knight Sorrow came back, Yi Wuyo, Yu Qing, and the others were very happy. They held a family banquet at home. Yi Wuyo and Yu Qing were both Saint Kings. Knight Sorrow was also very happy. He did not think that his parents and wife would have great achievements, but no matter what, they had to be kings. That way, their lifespans would be limitless. As for his son and daughter, Knight Sorrow was not worried at all. Yi Yujun and Yi Qingyan's cultivation base was higher than his. In the future, it would not be a problem for them to enter the king realm. There were many factors that had to be taken into consideration if one wanted to be successful in cultivation. However, talent was also very important. The most important factor was luck and opportunity. Knight Sorrow knew that fate was an unknown factor, but in terms of luck, he was sure that his family members were not bad. He was a realm lord and a virtuous saint. The people around him, his family members, and his friends would all be blessed by luck. Currently, the 9 regions world was a high-level world. It could already produce a place where willpower was displayed. It would be easier for his family members to comprehend willpower. Father, we want to go to the world of reincarnation to see the current realm war. Yi Qingyan said. Okay. You can come with me later. Stay with Grandmaster and Grandmaster to broaden your horizons. Knight Sorrow agreed after thinking about it. You spoil them too much. You agree to everything and even trouble them. Sikong Chuyu said. Haha. It's nothing. The children need it. I just want to say hello to Grandmaster and Grandmaster's wife. There's no need to be so polite with them. Knight Sorrow smiled. Father, look. Aunts and my mother are so strict. Yi Qingyan hugged Knight Sorrow's arm and looked at Aoi who was glaring at her. I'm often not at home. So your mother and aunts not only treat you with the love of a mother, but also with the strictness of a father. I don't have the time to educate you or guide you in cultivation. So, all I can do is pamper you a little. Knight Sorrow said. Daughter and brother know that father is busy. Without father's hard work, the Yi clan wouldn't be as stable and prosperous as the 9 regions world. Yi Qingyan said. Your father has always been working hard. Actually, it's to fight for a place for the Yi clan and the 9 regions world. Now, your father has the qualifications. Anyone who wants to harm your father will have to think twice, including the Sky Pillar. Datura said. Of course. Ants, you're domineering enough. Who isn't afraid of you? Yi Yujun said. Is your father someone who needs ants to support him? It's your father who can do this. You still don't understand your father. Datura said with a smile. Father, what's your cultivation? Yi Qingyan looked at Night Sorrow and asked. I've made some gains recently. Let's not talk about that. Father, mother, I still have some things to take care of. Once I'm done, I'll come back and accompany you. Night Sorrow stood up and said. He didn't want to tell his children about his cultivation because he didn't want to put pressure on them. Go. Yi Wuyo nodded. Night Sorrow and Datura brought Yi Qingyan and Yi Yujun to Black Fiend City through the teleportation array. Then, they went to the City Lord's mansion. Greetings, Grandmaster, Grandmaster. Greetings, seniors. After entering the City Lord's mansion, Yi Qingyan and Yi Yujun bowed to Qing Emperor, Misty Rain, and the others. Why are you two here? Qing Emperor said with a smile. He was very fond of Night Sorrow's children. We told father that we wanted to go to the reincarnation world to broaden our horizons. Yi Qingyan said. There are many opportunities to increase your cultivation and strength. However, it's rare to see a realm war like this. You two should stay with Grandmaster and Grandmaster. Qing Emperor nodded. You two, listen to me. Father still has things to do. After saying that to his children, Night Sorrow and Montua left the City Lord's mansion. DV equals eternal. Free 9 view 1 inch Father, your name is known throughout the world. Your children are also dragons and phoenixes among men. Sima Tianqing said. Yi Qingyan and Yi Yujun cupped their hands towards Sima Tianqing in response to being praised by a senior. If your father wasn't Night Sorrow and your grandmaster wasn't Qing Emperor, I would also want to take you in as my disciples. Sima Tianqing said with a smile. This wasn't fake politeness. Who was he? He was a big shot. He could naturally see through Yi Qingyan and Yi Yujun's situation with a single glance. Yi Yujun and Yi Qingyan's eyes were filled with spirituality. Their bodies were also filled with righteousness. If you can't take in a disciple, you can take in a son-in-law. Do you have an unmarried girl in your family? Red Emperor said with a smile. Red Emperor, you. All right. The leaders of other forces have a lot of children. I don't have any grandchildren. I only have one precious daughter. However, you won't have a chance until you reach the King Realm. Once you reach the King Realm, I can help you talk to him. Sima Tianqing looked at Yi Yujun and said. In the marriage of high-level cultivators, there wasn't much to be said. However, the most important point was that King Realm cultivators wouldn't easily marry cultivators below the King Realm. This was because one had an endless lifespan, while the other had a limited lifespan. There was a fundamental difference between the two. Residence Master Sima, are you serious? Qing Emperor looked at Sima Tianqing. Of course. Qing Emperor, don't think too much about it. Don't think about taking advantage of it. Sima Tianqing said. All right. Yujun, work harder. When you reach the King Realm, your father won't even need to step in. Grandmaster will propose marriage for you. No matter what dowry the Sima residence wants, our family will pay for it. Qing Emperor directly said. Many thanks to Grandmaster. Many thanks to Senior. Yi Yujun bowed to Qing Emperor and Sima Tianqing. What about this one? I'll reserve this girl for my child. Li Tianba looked at Yi Qingyan and said. Don't even think about it. Misty Rain interrupted Li Tianba. Speak. First watch. You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.